Oh, okay, here we go. Whoops. Forget the mic. Okay, just gonna give it a minute or two. Nice background music. Yes, it's the FTL soundtrack. FTL Faster Than Light. I like to have a bit of background music when I start my streams, but on the politics channel I don't have the subscription for my usual royalty-free music. But usually the video game music passes fairly easily. So I just got a bit of FTL in the background. Anyway, this is Jose Antonio Vargas. How you doing, man? You lost some weight, dude? Actually, I did. I've been, for the past almost a month now, I've been doing the OMAD diet, which is 1 meal a day. Trying to very quickly lose some weight. Also, I've trimmed my beard yesterday. I think I look decent. I'm also growing it in a little more. And I shaved. But yeah, thanks for noticing. So apparently there's like 7 people in here right now. I have no idea. I'm just gonna give it like another minute. I'm supposed to start at 9. So I'm just gonna wait to see if some more people tune in. I'm not used to streaming politics, let alone on a Saturday morning. But we'll get into that. Hopefully it's fun. And how are you guys doing? Anyone else in here? By the way, I'm not alone. The teenager and the girlfriend are here. And you're probably gonna hear them or even see them move around in the background. I don't have my own room for my desk, fortunately for everyone. Recently discovered you thanks to this Prof. Dave versus Metatron stuff, and I really like your way of making arguments. Well, thank you, Jose. And yeah, getting shouted out by Professor Dave, channel of 4.5 million subs, that's a pretty big deal. The impact on my channel has been somewhat minimal. I mean, I saw my views peak a bit. I think I got like maybe 30 subs. Pretty cool. Unfortunately, I don't really have a lot of stuff going on this channel. If anything, this live stream is about feeding the algorithm a little, because I haven't really planned anything yet this year. I do have some ideas, but I haven't really gotten around to it yet. What I will say though is when it comes to, we'll probably get into that in the intro, but I don't really expect much to happen in this video. I think it's going to be just a big reaffirmation of all the stuff both me and Professor Dave have been saying about him. I saw the video come out yesterday, but I didn't watch it yet, so it's gonna be like watching in real time. I made a post about it yesterday, and I've seen some people in the comments of my post saying that, like, yeah, you know, there's... it's a nothing burger. We'll see. Okay, well, if there's more people coming in, I guess they're gonna come in later. Although I scheduled it for 9, so it might be that some people are gonna get a notification at 9 and they're all gonna tune in like the next 5 minutes or something. As an Italian, Metatron being a grifter feels more personal. Can't wait to see him double down on his points. Yeah, we'll get into the act of doubling down as well. Let me you guys know if the music is too loud. I feel like it really is too loud. I mean, it's a damn good jam, but Mark is dead. Glad I didn't miss this. Well, glad to have you here, man. Okay, so it's 9. Let's get started officially. Okay, so, hello everybody. Apparently there's like close to 10 people in here, I don't know. I hope y'all are doing well on this fine Saturday morning, or whatever time it is, wherever you guys are. So today, we're going to be making a reaction to the latest video of Metatron talking about Professor Dave. This video, to be exact, Professor Dave is a coward. So I'm just going to give like a quick context here. Basically, there's been like this little back and forth over the past 2 weeks or so between Metatron, big friend of this very channel. I've criticized Metatron several times over the years. I made my last essay on him a couple of months ago, and I really do think that essay is going to be the last in terms of like what there is to deconstruct about the way Metatron does things, because he's just went full on Chad. He's went on full-on Chud. And there's really not much to say about that. But anyway, a couple of months ago, as part of his daily slop, Metatron made a video called Professor Dave is Toxic. Now recently, Professor Dave, I don't know if I can find the video. I don't think it's here. But Professor Dave made a video. This one. Professor Dave is a stupid, toxic jerkface, where basically it was kind of addressing like the ongoing trend of him like basically just arguing a lot with people, with trolls mostly in his comments, and how mean and rude he's being, and he was kind of talking about like why he does it and his approach to dealing with misinformation and stuff like that. And in the process, he had a small section to talk specifically about that video by Metatron, where basically the main criticism was just the recurring theme of his bigger video, which is that a lot of people are complaining that he's mean, but never really address the crux of his arguments, or the fact that what Dave is really doing on his channel is actively fighting against misinformation and mocking and ridiculing grifters who, you know, spread a lot of scientific and medical misinformation, and he's done it over the years. I discovered Professor Dave myself a few months ago, and I do appreciate how relentless he's being about it. But anyway, because Metatron had made a video, he included him in this video, and in classic fashion, Professor Dave was very, you know, harsh towards Metatron. So if we go back here, maybe I'll see it. In response to the toxic video, Metatron made his own response. I did see the live stream, I did not see this cutout version, but when he was doing it live, I decided to watch it out of curiosity. And finally, Dave, just a few days ago, made his own response to that. Metatron is a whiny little baby, and he just went over the response, or response to a response to a response. It's getting deep here, in terms of beef. But now Metatron, in response to this video, made his own, which is this one here, Professor Dave is a coward. He released it yesterday. Let me see. I've made a post about it yesterday, and I already got some people telling me that this is a nothing burger, that there's really, it's just Metatron like performatively doubling down and getting hung up on the general meanness and attitude of Professor Dave as opposed to his actual arguments. But I was looking at Metatron's Twitter yesterday, and this is the only clue I have as opposed to, in the context. Did he still have it? Yeah, he still has it. Hold up. The full video will be posted very soon, but here's a clip of Professor Dave thinking it's totally appropriate to insult my mom who died of cancer recently because I dared to attack Flint's arguments. Let's listen to this real quick.
Hey, Mom.
Devastating. Huge red flags. Flint fucked my mom. We don't have time to do...
Don't talk about my mom. Take my mom out of your mouth.
Take my mom out of your mouth, considering the joke that's just been made doesn't have the punch that you think it would have. If this is the tone that the entire video is going to have, that's going to be insufferable. Once we get to that part, I'll have a lot more to say about it. But this is what I expect. I expect this video is going to be This is my main prediction. I think this video is going to be largely performative. I think that Metatron, like I said in my latest essay, I think he's learned over the past year or so that, you know, in this post-truth era, as long as you perform outwardly, you know, confidence, whether that's doubling down, never backing out, you know, it doesn't matter how, whether you're correct or wrong, there are people who are going to be convinced of your righteousness, if you will, no matter what. And I think that's really what Metatron is going for here. Like, based on his exchanges with Freda from, like, last year, how he got completely dunked, even on his own response video, I think he knows, like, from a purely factual standpoint, he doesn't stand a chance. I think he's just focused on, well, if I can just, like, hamper on the fact that Dave is mean, then I can basically get away with, you know, not having any real substantive arguments. That's my prediction for the video. I also expect there will be a lot of pedantry, where Metatron will mostly, if he's going to attack any points, it's going to be like all the minor gaps that Dave might have left in his videos. And since we're talking about it, like, I'll give my own perspective, because some of you might know me. I think even Jose was in the chat right now. He knows me from being mentioned in Professor Dave's video. I'm not coming on here to defend Dave. I mean, he's more than capable of defending himself. I'm also not completely... As critical as I am of Metatron, I'm also not completely, like, on Dave's side here. I do have some criticisms of Dave's content and even, like, some of the rhetoric he has, but even the points I have I would consider pretty mild compared to some of the criticisms I have of Metatron. And to give my own perspective as we get into this, like, I might as well do that now. The one thing I can say about, like, Dave's initial video, like, Metatron is a whiny little baby, I think one of the mistakes he made is that there were instances in the prior exchange he had with Metatron that he was actually wrong on a few things. They were not big things, but the fact that he never brought them up in his follow-up video is leaving him open to attack. And I mean, when I watched Metatron's response, there was only like two things that I noticed that Dave was like wrong about. The first one was when he immediately described Metatron's channel as an archaeology channel, which pretty quickly indicates that Dave like didn't really take that big of a dive. It was a very hasty look into Metatron's channel to call him an archaeology channel. Even before he was the slugtuber that he is today, I would have called him a history, sword and armor channel, basically. It's an easy thing to avoid, and it's largely inconsequential in terms of like the substance of the arguments being made throughout these videos. But the fact that he didn't address it at all and just moved on, I have a feeling this is something that Metatron is going to try and hammer on again. The one thing that Dave said that Metatron actually proved wrong in his video, in the first exchange, was we're digging deep now. But when Metatron made his first video on Professor Dave, calling him toxic, one of the main criticisms that Dave made on him is that basically when Metatron looked over Dave's channel, he barely looked into his content at all. The one video he was talking about, he only went about like 10 minutes in before he said like, oh, well, it's about to show like a clip of Joe Rogan and I can't actually go forward because like I might get flagged because of Joe Rogan. And Dave said to that, well, that's not true. I have plenty of clips, including this very video, which goes over Joe Rogan's podcast, and it was not flagged, so it's not true at all. And Metatron, in his response, went actually back over the stream when he talked about Dave and showed that when he got to the part with Joe Rogan, it was actually flagged in the middle of his live stream, which caused his live stream to get demonetized or something. And to the extent that to the extent that Dave made the claim that, you know, like, called BS on the fact that Metatron said, you know, oh, showing Joe Rogan is going to get me flagged, is BS. Like, Metatron was correct that that's not true. However, the point that Dave made, that basically Metatron called his channel toxic, but only spent like 10 minutes on one of his videos, that argument still stands true, even if the argument pertaining to Joe Rogan is false. The other thing to consider is that, again, Joe Rogan clips might get flagged if you're watching them in a live stream, but they're not going to get flagged if you put them in a video afterwards. So in a sense, there was nothing stopping Metatron after his live stream of continuing to watch Dave's video, which covered Joe Rogan, offline, and then make a more researched, more thought out video before releasing it. The reason Metatron didn't do that is because he wanted to make a video that is simply cut out from whatever he could do on his live stream. He didn't want to put any more effort into it because he's lazy and a sloptuber. That's really about it. So those are the main two things. Calling Metatron's channel an archaeology channel, easily disprovable, easy mistake to avoid. And the whole Joe Rogan thing, which he didn't address at all, which leaves him open to get attacked on that again. So I do suspect we'll see Metatron talk about these. Regardless, I'm not really sure what we're going to say. Apparently there's like 20 people in here. Wow. Well, hello everybody. I guess we're gonna have some fun today. Lots of people. All right. So with that, let's just get into it, shall we? The video is like an hour and 18 minutes long. I'm gonna try and speed it up just a little bit. And I'll try not to pause too often, even though that's one of my tendencies. We could be here for a while, so here we go. Intro kind of goes hard at full speed. That's way too long though.
Hello, number ones, welcome back to my channel. This is the Metatron speaking, and today I have the displeasure to share with you one of the worst channels this website has to offer, aka Fake Professor Dave Explains. Because of course, guy is not a professor, I think we all know that. Alright, here is the lore recap. Professor Dave is a toxic content creator that makes videos about other people. I called out underqualified teaching assistant at best, Dave, for the toxic individual that he unquestionably is. And I did this on this...
Okay, I'm sorry, this is too quick, guys. We're gonna have to suffer through the real time. I just want to make sure I don't miss anything.
Very mild video. But since he has an inflated ego the size of Olympus Mons on Mars, he did not take the criticism well. He made this monstrosity of a video where, among the usual veritable cornucopia of insults fit for a 12-year-old child, he accused me of lying. He called me a liar. Since differently from him, I don't lie, I made this subsequent video response where I exposed his lies on screen for the world to see. All proven with receipts. So what do you think he did about that? Admitted his fault? Of course not, this is Professor Dave you're talking about. He made another video. This time we've got 52 minutes and 35 seconds of absolute pure cope. He's a scientist, he must have used reason and logic to debunk all of you. No, he called me racist.
Oh, right, because you're fucking racist. Me calling...
He called me racist. Yeah, he's one of those. Another disgusting...
He's one of those people who, again, like... You can already tell that, like, how much they're actually, like, talking... I would say they're talking over each other, but this is really just, like, everything that Dave is saying just flies over Metatron's head, and then he just keeps going like nothing was actually being said. Even Dave says in his video, I remember, like, very clearly saying, like, yeah, you know, you're upset that I call people racist when they are. Like... This is Metatron's whole shtick. Oh, everyone calls everyone racist these days, so it doesn't actually mean anything anymore. But no, sometimes people are racist, and Metatron has had racist moments for sure. The other thing is already, like, he's already calling him a fake professor, even though Dave Farina was a professor? Like, maybe not anymore. Now he's a science communicator, he's on YouTube, yes, but he was a professor. Calling him fake, knowing he's not, is just him, like, performatively just doing the same thing, which is pretty ironic considering he just said, like, I never lie. Like, you are purposefully lying to discredit someone else just because you're mad that he insulted you and mocked you and made a thumbnail with you looking like this. That's really all it is. And I kind of like the pacing of this video as well. Like, it actually feels like he's trying to steal Dave's format here, doesn't it? He's also a published academic, and for the record, like, when he makes an informative video, he does, whenever he has help, he does cite the people who help him in the comments. Metatron has been saying for a while that, you know, he's got a team of experts, but he never cites them, he never links their name, nothing. Dave does. So, you know, anyway, let's go for it.
thing that Dave did on this video, which completely annihilates any credibility that he had left, is the cringe-worthy level of virtue signaling he demonstrated to the radical left. And when I say radical, this guy praised Hassan Piker.
Stupid jerk Hassan Piker, who speaks out against Israel's genocide, gets what he deserves because he's a butt-faced libtard.
So you wait, oh my gosh. Not to mention he's taking Destiny's side and was annoyed that I made a video about Destiny blocking me, saying that the reason why Destiny blocked me was that I was a troll.
Destiny blocked me. A whole video on how someone blocked him for being a troll. Own the libs, own the libs.
You're taking Destiny and Hassan Piker's side.
That's not even taking their side. He's making a summary of the type of videos you make, which is what he's talking about, you know, like it's on the libs videos, which that's what they are. You literally had AI image of Piker crying, and we go on your channel, you got a whole bunch of videos going after Piker, you've got a whole bunch of videos going about against Destiny. It's not even like taking their side, it's just summarizing the type of videos you make. Literally, that's all it is. And he's like, oh, you take their side. Like, this is what I mean. This is going to be the entire video.
Let that sink in. On a video about how bad I am, he is praising and taking the side of Destiny, Hassan Piker, and a bunch of other clowns. This is the guy we're talking about.
The funny thing is, like, doesn't Destiny, like, not care about the genocide in Gaza? Because I know Dave is very critical of Israel. Isn't one of the issues with Destiny that he doesn't criticize Israel much at all? I'm not actually that familiar with Destiny at all. Like, I haven't watched him in years. I just kind of tuned out. But that's one of the things. So sure, like, he's going to share Destiny is far right. Well, you know, you ask anyone on the left, and there's always going to be some issue with that. Where like, oh, you know, like these ones are sided to the right of me, so they're instantly far right. I don't think Destiny is far right, but he's got some pretty unhinged ideas. Is it something science related? You should have tuned in like 5 minutes ago, Carmisi. I'm not gonna repeat it again, but we already see like where this is going. He's just like making all these associations. This is highly performative.
As I said on my previous video, no honor. Oh, and that's nothing. Apart from the 52 minutes of poisonous vomit, slander and lies, he also thought it appropriate to insult my mum who recently died of cancer.
Devastating. Huge red flags. Flint fucked my mom. We don't have time to do...
Don't talk about my mum.
Again, like, Jesus Christ. Like, Metatron, what makes you think that because someone made a yo mama joke, which is what that is, this is a hyperbolic yo mama joke, that they're making fun of, that this is equivalent to making fun of your mom dying of cancer? This is just you trying to, let's be real here, you are weaponizing your mother's death to make the other person look worse. Like, don't get me wrong, like, you want to complain that, like, Professor Dave is mean, that he's rude in the way he behaves online, like, knock yourself out. But, like, this idea that because he made a your mom joke, he automatically, like, haha, your mom died of cancer. Like, no, this is so ridiculous. Y'all want to bet on how much he's gonna try and make a connection between that and this is the same side that laughed at Charlie Kirk or something. You know, 100%, this is a bet. This is a bet, he's gonna make it.
Take my man out of your mouth. This is Professor Dave. This is Professor Dave. But you know what's crazy?
Also, let's this is really what we have to understand here, and this is the same thing that happened with the Freda video, which I talked about in my last essay. This is not about destroying Professor Dave. This is not about countering his arguments. What this is about is performatively looking tough for his own audience. If he can show to his audience that he's confident, if he can show to his audience that he seems in control, that's all he really needs to do. He's not trying to appeal to anyone else but his audience, the people who already agree with him on everything. And for anyone else who looks at this, all they're going to see is that, you know, this is the one part where Professor Dave's choice of using the flowery vocabulary that he does is going to potentially be a weakness. Because for people who have no clue, that might be all it takes for them to discredit him, that he's rude. But again, for people who actually care about the facts, that shouldn't matter. Anyway.
Though that's morally bankrupt, as a way to, of course, undermine my argument and slander me, that's not even the worst thing he did on this video. We will watch some sections of this because I am not putting you through these 52 minutes of complete filth. We'll just review some of the most salient and relevant sections. With that being said, I'm just gonna say it straight to his face. You're a coward, Dave. You're a coward. Here is why. Look, I'm gonna level with you, noble ones. I'm not gonna talk to you as a content creator for a moment. I'm gonna put that on pause. I'm gonna be real. I know that some of you are subscribed to both of us, me and him. But let's set aside the theatrics for a moment. He insults me, calls me dumb, racist, I insult him. All of this doesn't matter. We can call each other liars. The only thing that matters is the truth, and the truth is established through facts and evidence. So I'm asking you now to use reason and logic to figure out who, between me and him, is the liar. It's not that he's lying to me, he's lying to you and his audience. Check this out. On my previous video, he accused me of this. Exhibit A. Context. The previous video of mine was an extract from a stream. During the live stream, I was reacting to his video. I reacted for about 11 minutes, but then I stopped because he was providing commentary and playing sections of the Joe Rogan Experience between Flint Dibble and Graham Hancock. The reason why I stopped is because I didn't want my stream to get copy claimed. Let's see what he says to that. Okay, I need to stop it here. So I used to get claimed by Rogan. Maybe I wouldn't get claimed now because I told you I think he did whitelist me.
And that's where he bows out, claiming something about copyright, which is total bullshit.
So I lied. All right, let's see on the basis of what. Let's see how he defends that.
Claiming something about copyright, which is total bullshit.
Spoiler alert, here is proof from YouTube internals during that very stream. Proof. Evidence. He said this was bullshit.
Okay, so I already predicted that he would hammer on this, and I do think it's on Dave for just deciding to skip over this completely and make his points. You could, if you really want to be charitable, you could say that Professor Dave just didn't really care about that and just moved on, but it does leave room to suggest that like he's actively like ignoring this because he realized he was wrong. But like I just said right before the video begins, the stream being flagged for watching a Joe Rogan clip, that is true, and that does make Dave's initial claim false. But what Metatron is purposefully omitting here also is that if he made an offline video, like a regular video that he just edited, and he just added clips of Joe Rogan in that video, it would not get flagged the same way that it would in a stream. So while it is true that in the stream he had to stop because otherwise he was going to get flagged by Joe Rogan, there was nothing stopping him from doing more research offline, making a more researched video afterwards. Like Dave just said, his video that covers Flint Dibble in Joe Rogan, that video is not flagged. There's nothing stopping Metatron from doing this. The broader point that Dave was saying is, you called my video toxic after watching one of my videos for 10 minutes, and you stopped under the flimsy pretext that you're going to get flagged for watching it. He was flagged, but there's nothing that stopped him from watching the video afterwards and still making a video offline. The reason Metatron didn't do it is because he's lazy. He wanted to make a video using exclusively what he had from his stream, and the criticism that what he had on stream, and by extension on his first video on Professor Dave being toxic, the criticism that this is still very shallow, that he still didn't watch most of the video, that part is still absolutely true. So I do think it's fair to criticize Dave for not mentioning that in his latest video, but the point that he was making is technically still true. It's just that there's a couple more steps there, you know?
He said this didn't happen, I proved him wrong, he did not address this for 52 minutes. He did not admit it. But let's continue.
And he stopped before the hour plus of me proving that Graham is a fraud. Pretty fucking convenient, isn't it?
He accused me of lying. He said it as a fact. He said it was not true that my video will be claimed because his videos don't get claimed. I responded with this. Exhibit B. Is it bullshit though? Well, no, it's not. And I have proof. The live. I found the exact seconds to prove it to all of you. So I was reacting to that specific interview. Stream suspended again. Oh, stream suspended again. Did you hear me? Stream suspended again. Okay, well. Yeah, Look! proof on screen, ladies and gentlemen. He said this is bullshit.
Claiming something about copyright, which is total bullshit.
Not only said that this... Look, read it. I actually...
Again, it is complete BS when it comes to offline videos. By offline, like, to be clear, there's no real clear terminology here. When I say offline, I mean any video made that isn't part of a live stream. Okay? That's all I mean. So again, there was nothing stopping Metatron from watching Professor Dave's video offline and making a reaction offline and then uploading that video to his channel. He was barred from doing this while he was live, but he didn't need to make a video exclusively from his live stream. He could just make an offline video from the start, like all the videos he used to make before. He didn't want to, and it was lazy. And it is still true that if he made that video, it would not get flagged. The live stream might get flagged, the offline video wouldn't. That part is still true. Because it's a live stream, Dave was referring to the video. Well, again, this is not something that Dave himself makes clear. My main criticism of Dave here is that he completely ignored this part in his video, and that does leave an opening for Metatron to attack and to hammer on. But if he had addressed it, he could just be making the exact same point I'm making now, and all of this would fall flat. All of this would fall flat. Like, if we're going for, like Metatron said, if we're only going for, like, the factual truth here, Dave's claim was partly false, Metatron's defense is shallow, and the broader point that Dave was making is still true. That's really all there is to it.
Actually showed the internals on YouTube. I was reacting to that specific interview.
Well, with that being said, let's see what's next.
Error, right? So he said that this was bullshit. But then he used this foundational premise. Oh, Metatron said he's stopping the live stream because of copyright claim.
Again, and I just want to, again, it's important to re-emphasize what the broader point that Dave was making here, which is that Metatron lazily made a video calling Professor Dave toxic, but didn't really have much of a basis at all because he barely watched the video that he was reacting to. Even if he had a good reason in the live stream to stop the video, there was nothing stopping him from watching more offline and then making a more thought out video. That is the real point here, and that point still stands true.
But that's bullshit, no. The reality is, so that was his conclusion. The conclusion was, the reality is that I was about to debunk Hancock and he didn't want me to. That's why he used this excuse of suspending the stream getting suspended. But here's the problem, Professor Dave, even in the most basic rudimentary form of logics, if your premise is faulty, so shall be your conclusion. So
the premise is that you didn't actually... Yeah, apparently there's 37 people in here. Hello, everybody. I'm just going to make a quick plug right away. Super chats are enabled. If you guys want to support the channel, that's very appreciated. No pressure, though, but there's 37 people in here. This is the most I've ever had in a live stream. So I'm just going to say it. You know, can't pass that grifting opportunity.
your conclusion...
Again, at the risk of repeating, the claim here is that Metatron's video was lazy. Even if he had a good reason to stop mid-stream, he had no excuse to not make more research offline. That is still true, and Metatron is hammering on this. The same way that Dave omitted this part of the video, Metatron is still omitting the part where he could have still done more research.
Is a castle of cards that you've built.
So, best case scenario, I would say that on this particular issue, let's call it a draw. Dave omitted the counter-argument. Metatron omitted the underlying issue. Like, let's go with that.
On something that you perceive to be a lie, so do about it with full arrogant confidence as a fact, but he's wrong. I'll tell you.
Faulty premises don't invalidate the conclusion. I can say that Metatron is dishonest because his hair is long doesn't mean that a different premise couldn't justify that conclusion. Exactly. Well said. That's exactly it.
Calling me racist. And there are a lot of other things where he does this. But what's important is that I then issued this challenge to him. So what are you gonna do about it? You can admit fault. I mean, he has a gigantic ego, so it's not like I'm expecting that to happen. If you fail to do this here, then what else that you call a lie? And who else that you've called a lie, so confidently and arrogantly, may I add, wasn't actually lying? If you don't say that, then we have to beg the question, what else does he not admit that he called it a lie? There was proof, but he ignored it because he has too much of an ego. And of course, I gotta do a response, don't I? Man, you know what? Dave, I'm just gonna call you Dave. Dave, we can keep this up. We can keep this up. Like, I'm fine with it. I make a video, you make a video, I make another video. We can make a whole season. Let's make a series. Differently from you, Dave, I have the truth, and I can prove it. I provided receipts in my previous video. Did he address it? No, because he's a coward.
That was the most uncomfortable Zoom I ever had to sit through. Again, keep in mind, this video is only performative, and this is Metatron just trying to milk as much out of the situation as possible. Because if you really get to the root of it, no, he's completely full of shit. Like, there is no way around it. And again, he wants to call Dave a coward. I feel like he's using the word coward the same way we would use the word, like, idiot. Because if you literally take the literal definition of coward, I mean, Metatron, you blocked me. You laugh and you make a video like, hoo, Destiny blocked me, but it's like, you blocked me and called me a coward in the process. Who's the coward, Metatron? If you're so brave, why don't you actually, like, talk directly to any of your critics? Why do you always hide like this? And for the record, like, Dave has had conversations and debates with a lot of people, both online and in public settings. You could never say the same of Metatron, and I'm pretty sure Metatron would never have the balls to pull that off. Again, him calling Dave a coward is just one of the many ways he projects his own shortcomings onto other people. He does that all the time.
What? Dave is scared, and this is damage control. Did he address...
Talk about projection! This entire video is damage control. The same way that his videos, his response to Freda is damage control. All of it is damage control for Metatron. It's damage control and milking. That's all this is. Have you seen... Metatron, have you seen how many videos Dave makes? Fighting other people, having beefs with other people. That's what he does. That's his channel. Unless you're saying that damage control is his business model, because it's so successful for him, that makes no sense. You are so full of yourself to think that Dave made this video on you as a way to save his reputation. His reputation from what? He's got over 4 million subscribers. Your videos on him barely gained any traction at all. Dave went to university to debate James Storr. Metatron would never go and publicly debate a guy he debunked in his videos. No, he never would. Metatron's only bravest moment is holding a microphone within the comfort of his own home with a t-shirt from Charlie Kirk. Would he ever go on a campus? No, he wouldn't. But talk about projection. Again, like, this is performative. So performative.
This in 52 minutes of video? No, he never did. Had he recognized
He's still hammering on
his
this
mistake and apologized for calling me a liar about it, I would have accepted the apology. Because you know me, I do that. When I'm wrong, I admit that I'm wrong and I apologize for it. He hid it, going into complete, utter cope and damage control. Do you see this? What kind of man does that? And what else did he get wrong and hid? And all of this just because...
Oh my god.
because he did not want to admit that he was wrong. 52 minutes to...
He was wrong on your video getting flagged because of Joe Rogan. Which is still not wrong on the fact that an offline video made with Joe Rogan clips will not get flagged on like your live stream. He was wrong about the live stream. Even Kirk deserves credit for that. Too bad he debated students instead of professors, but it still levels beyond what Metatron is capable of. That is true. This is the other thing to consider. Professor Dave goes on a campus. He's not debating the students. He's debating the other professors, the other grifters. He flipped when his mother passed. I can't say anything about his mother. Like, a lot of people like to speculate on that. I don't really care. There's the lie. I remember the woman king part, he got absolutely wrong, Lamau, and he gave excuse after excuse. Exactly! Like, understand, like, Metatron was wrong about the woman king and lied about it. And so many other things before that. Like, there are so many instances of him being, like, openly, objectively wrong about some things, knowing he's wrong about them, and then never correcting the record, just moving on. Or doubling down. Like, there's nothing about this. Like, Jesus. It's gonna be rough. We're only like 9 minutes in.
To admit it, he didn't mention it once. He didn't even address it. Why did I decide to not watch your entire video? Coward. Address it. Codardo. Codardo, vigliacco. Address it. Why did I stop watching?
I just know one Italian insult, okay? So I'm gonna give it to you right here, Metatron.
Because you lied about that and I proved you wrong, Dave. So why did I stop watching? He's still not saying it. He's still not admitting it. This guy's not about the truth. This guy's a pathological liar. And guess what? He did not address the section where I proved him wrong. Thumbnail is pretty cool. I'll give him that. Although the rainbow fits him more than me. All wrong. It's wrong. I'm not talking.
The rainbow. He gets hung up on the rainbow because he's thinking, oh, it's LGBT. Dave is gay, so it fits more for him. Very, very intellectual indeed.
Toxic, says the crying clown. He was very toxic. I destroyed him, proved him wrong, and that he could not stand. But let's see how he's gonna defeat my argument and demonstrate.
What are the chances that the entire section that Dave has, like showing other YouTubers like Freda, Banampanada, Not an Expert, and yours truly, what are the chances that he's just going to skip over that completely? Or say, well, I've already talked about these people, so I'm not going to rehash it again, and then just conveniently pretend like I'm not part of the critics that he's been consistently hiding from. Guess we'll see.
Demonstrated that on the previous video, I didn't actually destroy him. I gave him a challenge. Do you remember that? This one here. Okay. Is he gonna prove me wrong? Is he gonna be a man for once in his life?
Hey everyone, as you know...
Is he claiming victory for just addressing one point? Yes, he is. And again, this is one of my own criticisms from Dave. Refusing to address that part, it is clearly like an opening for Metatron to hammer on, and that's definitely what he's doing right now. Whether Dave is doing it because like he didn't have a rebuttal or because he doesn't care and he's just like, whatever, I'm just going to address everything else. It's still a criticism for Dave. It's an abject failure on Dave's part to cover all of his bases. But again, as we already established many times, it doesn't actually take away from his main point. It's pretty minor compared to how Metatron would like to portray it. High chances Metatron's not reacting to the whole video, he pre-watched it and is going to react to parts he has surface level rebuttals for. Exactly.
A lot of people on the internet hate me, and sometimes they make videos whining about how mean I am. When I remind them how that's a really pathetic thing to do in response to me exposing grifting frauds, sometimes they throw a toddler tantrum and double down on their whining.
One thing you'll notice about this guy is that this entire thing is projection. This is all projection. He's the one who's...
It's so funny when every time Metatron accuses someone of doing something, it is projection, and even the projection he accused someone else of doing is, in effect, projection.
Throwing a tantrum like a 12-year-old for 52 minutes because we hurt his feelings. That's the truth.
Today we deal with one of those cases, so let's get started.
Let's go.
Some of you watched a video I made recently where I highlight the toxic gaslighting behavior of the thousands of trolls who infest my channel. They watch precisely none of a particular video debunking a fraud they worship, hurl insults at me as though it refutes anything I said, and when I remind...
Hurl insults at me as if it refutes anything I said. So, you would not need to do that then to debunk me, am I right? So this is going to be like 52 minutes, 0 insults, just attacking my argument, am I right?
Them repeatedly that they're pathetic trolls who didn't watch the video precisely.
The Metatron is going to lean again on the ad hominem logical fallacy. And I think I remember, like, even Ben and Panada addressing this. An ad hominem is when you say, like, you're wrong, and the reason you're wrong is because you're stupid. That's not what Dave is doing. Dave is saying, you're stupid, And here's why you're stupid. Here are the arguments as to why you're stupid. So it's not an ad hom. It's rude. You could say it's rude. You could say that he doesn't mince his words, but he does address the arguments.
As they deserve, they just whine about.
Exactly. Dave insults you and proves you wrong. That's exactly it. Metatron is going to, as a lot of people are doing, and this is part of the performative rebuttal that he's doing right now, he's going to say, well, he's insulting me, therefore it takes away from his arguments. It doesn't.
How mean I am, since they're incapable of engaging with anything substantive.
Excellent.
This is a pattern of behavior that I've been observing for several years now, and the frustration these crybully trolls experience at their toxic behavior not landing because I refuse to be gaslit by them has spilled over into other areas of the internet, hence the whiny Reddit threads of precisely the same energy, and so forth. In addition to shaming these trolls and contextualizing their reality...
Breathe, brother. Breathe, man. That's...
Are you serious, Metatron? He's just talking. Usually, like, I think Dave, when he makes these videos like this, he does write like an outline, like a script, and he's probably just reading it out loud, which is more effort than Metatron puts into any of his videos. Like, he's not going on like some kind of schizo tangent here. He just expresses himself very quickly and likely just, you know, wrote something down.
Oh my gosh.
Also, talking about how fast he speaks instead of actually addressing what he's saying. Convenient.
Against a backdrop of Zionist propaganda meant to shut down those who speak out against Israel's genocide and MAGA behavior.
This has nothing to do with me whatsoever. So what he's doing now is virtue signaling, because he knows that a big chunk of his audience are radical leftists of the worst kind.
Yes, because it's only radical leftists of the worst kind that have an issue with Israel committing a genocide. Is that the implication here? Again, this is still just part of Professor Dave's intro, mind you. And the whole point here is that all of this stuff, what Metatron is doing, the people he appeals to, the general misinformation, the post-truth era that we're seeing online, like all of this is connected. And what he's trying to, the point he's trying to make is that Metatron is just a small part of this bigger trend. Just because he hasn't mentioned you yet directly doesn't mean that it is irrelevant. He's making a broader point, and then the video is going to use Metatron's video to illustrate the broader point. It's really not that complicated.
Of the worst kind. Like people that, if you are a left-winger watching this, yeah, they would hate you as well. The cultists that he has accumulated over with years and years of toxicity and disgraceful behavior, which is what he does, and continuous ad hominem attacks. And those are the only people that entertain this. Even this video, right? That's the kind of audience he has. I've seen them in my comments. I don't even dignify their comments. So he has to virtue signal to them. So they're like, oh, okay, yeah, he's one of the cult. So let's see who is this person, me, who doesn't belong to the cult. You're absolutely right. I don't belong to the cult. I want zero association underqualified teaching assistant Dave. And I'm telling you this much. If you think, well, but you're insulting him too. Yeah, because it's 52 minutes of insults. I didn't insult him in my first video. I only said it was toxic, which is a fact. 15, 20 times in the previous video, and now 52 minutes, I'm going to insult him back. Absolutely, I'm going to insult him back.
That targets any objective appraisal of Trump's descent into fascism. I also highlighted 2 videos made by other creators that exemplified this precise troll behavior by doing nothing but whining about how mean I am. After scolding these 2 for their antics, Norbert made a half-assed rebuttal, which was not received well, and then he deleted both of his videos, which honestly is about as respectable a reaction one could expect from such a person. An apology would be better, but a silent admission...
Why would anyone apologize to the likes of you?
Well, it's about acknowledging that you were wrong on the things you were saying. It's not so much like, you know, like, oh, I'm so sorry for insulting you. It's I'm sorry for getting you wrong. That's really all it's about. But sure, you say like they shouldn't apologize. Why would they apologize to Dave? Like, it's not so much about apologizing to Dave the person. It's about acknowledging for yourself and for your audience when you're wrong about something. But even Dave, he says like, yeah, it would be better, but like, if you're just going to end up like quietly deleting your video when you realize you're wrong, it's still respectable. I find it hilarious that he already made a response to Professor Dave saying he's a coward. Dude seems desperate to destroy himself. Was a sad, sad man. Well, again, like, if you actually want to talk about cowardice, Metatron. On the off chance, like, I'm not going to do a Zoom like you, because I'm not that cringe. You can debate me. You can talk to me directly. I've offered to you multiple times. Both in public and in private, if attention is not something you want to give me, you know, online specifically. This is really just about, like, trying to figure out what happened to your channel and all the things that I think you're wrong about. If you're so confident, you can just defend yourself. But the fact of the matter is, you made a post whining about me on Twitter, and then when I came in to respond, you blocked me. I think it's pretty clear to everyone who's not, again, a part of your audience that if there's someone who's a coward, it's you. Metatron, you're the coward. This is just performatively projecting outward to do damage control. Literally, the thing you accuse Dave of doing, this is you doing. Literally that. Damage control.
This is gaslighting of the highest degree. You attack people, fascinating. So you are the one who is slanderous and attack people ad hominem. And then they need to apologize to you for calling you out for being toxic. You're out of your mind.
The fault will do just fine, and our interaction is over.
I think it's also important to re-emphasize here the whole claim that Dave is toxic. The one thing, this is basically like the entire premise, right? It's people calling Dave toxic and Dave telling telling them to piss off. And the gist of it is, Dave's main argument, which all of the people who've accused him of being toxic so far have always failed to demonstrate, is name a single instance of someone asking Dave anything fairly, politely, and being on the receiving end of some of Dave's flowery language. Name a single instance of that. Every single time Dave tells someone off, it's because they are trolls. It's because they did not give him the basic decency of at least hearing him out. You know, someone makes a criticism of Dave's video without watching it, so Dave doesn't show them any respect because he's like, okay, well, you're talking about me without actually watching my video. You don't even know what I'm talking about. So why are you here? Don't waste my time. That's basically it. If someone watches the video and then is just asking for a clarification, Dave doesn't like tell them off. He just answers straight to the point. And the claim that sometimes people just ask things politely, or that they generally watch the video and they're just like, you know, like casually asking something that, you know, Dave is going to tell them off, that has never been shown to happen. So that's the real thing we have to think about. Because like Metatron wants to say, oh, you know, you're toxic, you're mean, you're mean, you're mean. Yeah, Dave is mean. He knows he's mean. His whole point is that the people who accuse him of being mean, the people he's mean to, don't deserve any respect because they're, at best, clueless trolls who don't watch his video and are uninformed and are wasting his time, or at worst, they're dishonest grifter like this guy right here, who are not worth being treated respectfully at this point because they were given every chance in the world to correct themselves and instead chose to double down every single time. You don't deserve respect, you only deserve ridicule. That's all there is.
Over. But the other guy, this toolbox named Metatron, had a different plan.
Ooh, toolbox. Man, he defeated my argument, guys. He called me a toolbox. So that defeats my argument, am I right?
Christ.
Defeats my argument.
He decided to not watch any of the rest of the video explaining how trolls get exactly what they deserve from me, and double down on his pathetic whining. Oh, and there's some slander in there too. Check out this piece of garbage. Exposing Professor Dave's lies about me.
Yeah, you did lie.
Oh my goodness, whatever could these lies be? What an awful lying liar I am. We're gonna get a load of this turd fest in just a bit, but since he's going to whine a lot about how I didn't do any research, and I don't know anything about him, and since most of you probably...
That's absolutely the truth.
I'm not the one doing research. I'm referencing research. I'm not the one doing research. I'm referencing research.
Self-admit, this is a confession.
Don't either. Let's dig a little and see what...
He showed that again, like just like throw it in there to try and make the same argument as if Dave doesn't address that exact part in the video? Wow.
we can come up with, yeah?
Okay.
Looking at his
I got nothing to hide.
most recent videos will give you a great sense of who this loser is. More than half of his content is low IQ culture war slop with blatant clickbait titles. They lied. This is revolting. Who lied? Click to find out.
Be that as it may, at this point I could have the worst thumbnails and titles on this entire planet. It's still completely irrelevant to whether or not you lied. What you are doing now, Dave, is obfuscating. This is irrelevant. Also, hate the game, not the player. Sure, to stay up the surface of this...
I hate the game, not the player. A lot of people play the game and are not as sleazy and clickbaity and grifty as you, Metatron. This is a choice you make yourself because your channel is failing, it's been failing for a while, and you're just using all the cheapest tricks in the book. You say like, okay, you know, like you're insulting me, and then, you know, like ultimately the only thing that matters is the truth, and the truth is that he ignored my thing on Joe Rogan or whatever. Who cares? He chooses to paint a picture of you which is totally accurate. You're just clickbaity, you're making a lot of slop, and you're purposefully like, it's funny that he had to pause the video to make a voiceover on this, because when he actually made that recording, he didn't know how to respond to this. So he had to stop it and in editing actually add this part in, like actually, this has nothing to do with Joe Rogan. All Dave is really showing here is that, you know, he is making fun of you, and that making fun of you is pretty much all there is to do, because engaging with your content critically when it's all crap like this, you know, the ridiculing is, you know, the only thing you're good for. You're a lol cow now. Like, that's all it is.
Nonsense YouTube algorithmic race. I had to use some cringy titles. At least I didn't have to sell my soul like you did with your failed channel, when you transformed it from an educational channel that was not getting any views whatsoever to vomiting pure slanderous poison and lying about people.
Again, the projection is immense. Metatron. Projection is the name of the game. Wow.
Pandering to the worst scum this planet has to offer.
Pandering to the worst scum? You're pandering to Nick Fuentes' audience. What are you talking about, man? Jesus.
Yeah.
Pandering to Trumpers, pandering to MAGA, pandering to Asmongold, pandering to Nick Fuentes. This is who you pander to, Metatron, with crap like this? Glazing Asmongold, as Dave said. This is the most projection I've ever seen. But again, who cares, right? As long as Metatron's audience sides with him, as long as he's got 16,000 people that will show up for every video, he make ends meet, and that's all he needs.
I'll take my titles.
Since he's been exposing my non-existent lies, I bet this one is a banger too.
Lies proven on the screen, Your Honor.
Also, no doubt, glazing Asmongold, who is...
Yeah, I think Asmongold is 10 times the man you are.
Asmongold's been banned from Twitch following racist tirade about Palestinians. So Asmongold, who said they should kill as many Palestinians as possible, is 10 times the man that Dave is. Fantastic. The man who lives with roaches uses a rotting rat as an alarm clock. The guy there are entire compilations now on the internet of all the racist tirades he goes on, of actively talking about how they should just execute illegal immigrants or something. Like, this guy, 10 times the man that Dave is, because Dave is a big old online meanie. This is the same thing this is the same point I made in my last essay a couple of months ago. Like, Metatron is all decency on the surface, and all the politics you have basically are irrelevant. As long as you say nicely that the Holocaust is good, you're a decent man. That's basically what it is. Could be twins by the looks. True. To Metatron's credit, though, he does seem to shower a little more.
What you gonna do about it?
a white supremacist that is spewed hate speech against...
White supremacist. And everyone clapped. Boom, Dave. So it's another buzzword. You're in a cult. I'm not in a cult, so I don't have to use the buzzwords that you use.
Dave literally goes over this whole thing. Like, this is Metatron's whole shtick. Everyone calls everyone racist these days, so it doesn't mean anything anymore. Except, no, some people are racist. And Metatron and Asmongold are some of these people. Like, this is such cope that this is his only defense. You know, like, it's not that I'm not racist, it's that you're calling everyone racist so it doesn't mean anything anymore. Like, no. You're racist. Address it. Defend yourself against that. Actually defend yourself. Because you're not defending yourself against the accusation. You're just saying, oh, well, they use the word all the time. Yeah, maybe there's a reason for that, man. And it's not because they're radical left-wing cultists. It's because some people are racist.
Oh, white supremacy.
It's Palestinians. This is crossing the line.
It is.
Awful. What is? Who is that? Click to find out. Disgusting. Awful. What? Click to find out. Banned. Stupid jerk Hassan Piker who speaks out against Israel's genocide gets what he deserves because he's a butt-faced libtard.
So you wait. Oh my gosh. Are you saying you're defending Hassan Piker?
Metatron, you don't think... Are you defending Asmongold? Are you defending Nick Fuentes? Are you defending Trump? Are you defending ICE? Are you defending Israel? What's your take on Israel, by the way? It's funny like how every time Israel is mentioned, you stay very quiet. What's your position on Israel? Are you a coward and too weaselly to talk about it? Or can you take like an actual firm position? Also, like, I'm just going to say, like, the whole thing with Hassan, like, the only thing, as far as I know, like, the only thing that they have on Hassan, maybe, is, like, the whole shock collar thing. Which is pretty funny because he's been very open about, like, believing that Hassan is, like, a dog abuser. I don't really have a position on that personally. I think it doesn't really matter because we'll never know. It's possible that he did, but who the hell knows, you know? But Metatron said, you know, like, oh yeah, he's definitely a dog abuser. And then when someone told him, yo, by the way, Trump was mentioned in the Epstein files 38,000 times, and Metatron's automatic defense was, well, prove it in court. If you can't prove it in court, I don't want to hear about it. So, you know, it's not like there's any real consistency here. Also, at the same time, again, he didn't actually, like, make a defense of Hassan. He's just pointing out that Hassan is... that he's making videos on Hassan because he's a chud. He's just pointing out that he's a chud. You can dislike Hassan and still agree with him when it comes to the genocide of Palestine. That's me. I don't like Hassan and still agree with him on Palestine. Yeah, and I mean, some of his politics are pretty good, but there are other things, like apparently denied the Kurdish repression in Turkey. I don't even know about that. I know that he's got some weird views on China too. Like, there are a lot of issues with Hassan, but I would argue that they pale in comparison to some of the stuff that has been said by other people on the right. They pale in comparison. But I think Metatron has decided that because you're on the left, you're in a cult, and that means everyone that's on the left and even mentions Hassan even at all, they just defend him like thoroughly on everything.
He just spoke highly about Hassan Pike. Picture that.
Spoke highly. He just said that Hassan called out the genocide in Gaza. Is that speaking highly of someone?
For a moment. Picture that for a moment. I don't care about Hassan Piker speaking about Israel.
What are your thoughts on Israel? Because that's all they've mentioned here. He talked about Hassan talking about Israel. You're like, oh, well, I don't care about Israel. But that's what he's talking about, though.
I'm not from Israel. I'm an Italian who lives in America. If anything, my allegiance now is with the United States.
And whose allegiance does the U.S. have to? So are you saying my allegiance is with the United States, therefore, because the U.S. is blindly supporting Israel and everything it does, you're going to follow the U.S. into serving Israel's interests too? Even as they're committing a genocide? Even as they're attacking every country around them?
Hassan Piker has called for the blood of conservatives on the streets. Bloods and guts, he said. He literally did calls to violence against conservatives, and you are praising him.
Praising him? He just briefly mentioned that you made a video, like the dozens you've made on Hassan. That's literally all this is. Like, what are you talking about? The whole thing about, like, the blood on the streets, like, I remember that, kind of. So, okay, let's say he said that and that he literally meant it. Okay, by your own standards, what do you say about Asmongold? What do you say about Nick Fuentes? Why aren't you condemning them in equal terms? Because you don't. You don't actually care about what's being said. You care that Hassan is on the left. That's the only real issue you have with him.
This is Dave. This is Dave. He defends someone who calls for violence against those who don't think. Okay, I have a question for you, Professor Dave. What do you think of what happened to Charlie Kirk? What's your opinion? Why don't you let me know? Please, make a post, make a video, if you have the guts.
Hey, Metatron, what do you think about Israel? What's Israel doing in Gaza? What do you think about that? What do you think about all the things that Asmongold has said? Oh, that's right, you call him Asmon-based. You call him Asmon King. What do you think about all the things Nick Fuentes have said? Can you call him scum, considering he's an open Nazi? Can you call the Israel genocide what it is, the Gaza genocide? Come on, have some guts. Grow a spine, Metatron. Tell us what you believe.
What do you think of Charlie Kirk and what happened to him? I'm waiting.
Literally
defending us.
Charlie Kirk. It's been a while now. Get over yourself, maybe, dude. Listen, the main position on the left, as much as you would like to believe otherwise, because you've seen a few TikTok videos, the broad position on the left is Charlie Kirk was a bad person, but he shouldn't be killed just because of his views. Like, you ask anyone broadly on the left, and that's going to be the main thing. That he was a prick, that he was a hateful person, he was bigoted, and his views were horrendous. But political violence is bad. That's the extent of it.
Some biker. Oh my gosh, I did not think it was gonna
Really
go
getting
to
hung
see.
up on this.
So when Metamoron whines about the thumbnail for this video, you can all remind him what a worthless hypocrite he is.
I didn't make that thumbnail. I used Asmongold's thumbnail. Here it is, Asmongold clips. I did not use the...
Oh, well, it's nice to see that you barely actually put any effort in your thumbnails at all. This was low effort for Asmon, and it was even lower effort for you. You know, way to show that your content really is all just slop.
Yeah, what does that have anything to do with it? How am I a hypocrite? First, I don't care about the thumbnail you made, but even if I thought the... So
Okay, getting hung up on that too.
Everything wrong. Is he going to research? Oh, this is embarrassing. You see, he doesn't do research. He doesn't research anything. Man, this guy gets everything wrong. Is he going to defend...
Research? He doesn't research everything. You're mocking him for not researching where you got your thumbnail? This is what you're mocking him for? Really? Man, the bar is low. Yeah, cherry picking, projection, like this... I'm regretting beginning this video, man. Like, apart from like the one Joe Rogan thing that we already addressed, like there is nothing of substance yet. And I'm already gone for over an hour. It's crazy.
Defend Destiny now? Of course he's gonna defend Destiny. The worst. Even lefties hate Destiny.
He's not defending Destiny, though. He's mocking you for making a video about him blocking you like it's something worth making a video about when it really isn't. It's highlighting the fact that all your content is slop. I mean, again, I don't even know why I'm trying to explain this, because Metatron knows. He's purposefully framing it differently to try and dodge away from the points being made. That's it.
And even liberals have given...
Can you imagine someone more pathetic than this? And
you?
And then, of course,
oh, what a comeback.
all the thumbnails I showed you in my previous video, which were already sufficient to know who he is. What is there of actual substance?
So basically, how many? Let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 thumbnails are sufficient out of 1,000 videos, probably 1,200 now, to know who someone is. It once again proves...
The only videos that matter to the person you are now are probably like the 1,000 videos that you've made in the past year and a half. That's the extent to the thumbnails that really say everything there is to say about you. Like the idea that you would complain that someone isn't picking your thumbnails from 5-10 years ago, when that content is long gone and you're not even close to making the same thing, and all the people who used to watch you back then have completely tuned out of your channel, that is completely irrelevant to the kind of channel that you have now. Seriously?
Davey does no research.
I'm not the one doing research.
He decides out of 8 thumbnails. He sees 8 thumbnails. By the way, I want to remind you this
Okay, I think from now we're just going to skip around because, again, like, I'd like to hear what he actually has to say about, like, the meaningful stuff, you know?
really gonna that theory is real. See, you don't know what.
What is there of actual substance? One video on the Irish potato famine and another members-only video on ancient Rome, also with a clickbait title.
That's 11 days. I post 30 to 60 times a month. So
Yeah, but you want to look at the actual ratio here. That's 2 in 12. That's less than 10% of your content having actual value, which speaks to volumes to the fact that you mostly just produce slop. And, you know, you're not even denying that.
no, there is a lot more substance. But once again, does he care about the truth? And still 0 attacks to my arguments. Nothing. My argument toxic, ultra toxic. So yes, he's toxic. I won already.
Yeah, you sure did.
Because I won. Those were my arguments. I don't have any other argument. You can try and paint
Again, he's literally just hammering on the one point that Dave left out. He's got nothing else.
me as to you.
This dumbass loves arrows, by the way. On
Yeah,
a thumbnail,
he's right. I do love arrows.
accused
That arrow really pissed you off and must have plenty of it.
has any kind of standards whatsoever, and as though this content can possibly be thought of as anywhere near as academic or socially relevant as my content on
Man, what a narcissist. What an arrogant pallone gonfiato. That's all we say in Italy. What an arrogant sanctim.
He's arrogant for pointing out that he actually makes deep research videos, unlike you. That makes him arrogant?
Monius. Who do you think you are,
A guy who actually makes effort, unlike you.
Dave? You're no one. I'm
But by what metric? He gets so much more engagement than you. By what metric? He's got 4 times as many subs as you. He gets way more engagement than you. Like, again, this is projection.
no one. We're just people with a camera sharing what we are interested in. Full stop.
Oh, that's the angle you want to take. I mean, sure, man, except Professor Dave's videos are actually a lot more educational. So he does actually provide something considerably more valuable than your content. Even your historical content, 90% of the time, is just you reacting to other people's content. So the 10% of the content that you make that's actually kind of interesting, 90% of that 10% is you just reacting to other people's stuff.
Not a big shot academic. You're not a professor. That's a fake title you gave yourself. You don't have a PhD. You're not this scientist. You're not a scientist. And besides,
Again, this is all stuff he's saying, hoping that nobody actually fact checks him, because he knows his audience won't. So he doesn't need to worry about his audience fact checking what he's saying, so he can just say whatever.
I look at the dishonesty. He's taking what he considers to be some of his best videos, ultra academic. Why is he not comparing them with my best videos? That would have been an honest thing to do.
Because your best videos, by your own metric from the past year, is you talking about like whether the Nazis were left-wing or right-wing, getting completely demolished by other people who are better qualified on history than you are, like Freda, and constantly hiding behind your team of academics that you never even bother to show or reference at any time. Your videos, even the ones that you have that are high effort, absolutely pale in comparison to the kind of videos that Dave is making. And I'm not just saying that because I like Dave and I don't like you. The effort is there. The citations are there. You don't have any of that, Metatron, and you were already called out by Freda for that specifically. And you had a meltdown over it, basically confirming everything Freda said. Same thing with Bad Empanada. Say what you want about Empanada. I don't really have much of opinions on him outside of that few, which I paid attention to. But even his arguments was like, you don't have a team of academics, or if you do, you're not utilizing them properly. That's all it is. Like, you want to say, well, just because we're both people just on YouTube with microphones, that's all we do. It's kind of funny of you to say that, because when someone starts attacking your methodology, you have an absolute meltdown over it. And now you're like, well, we're all just YouTubers, who cares? That says more about how Metatron is approaching, YouTube than anything else. He doesn't care anymore. He just does what he does. Clickbait titles, slop, appealing to his low IQ, right to its audience. And if anyone is putting more effort into their stuff, he's just going to drag it down to, well, we're all just YouTubers. You're not more important than I am. Like, if what you say is all that the truth matters, well, he's got a lot more truth than you do. That's measurable.
That's what it means to stillman. That's to stillman someone else's argument. You took the videos that you knew were low effort videos, because once again, I post a lot. So obviously some of the videos will be low effort. I can admit that. I don't have any problem with that. You took those because you're scared of my good videos. The ones that have a lot of research. The ones that require a whole team. All of which...
Please, Metatron, name one such video that is relevant to this topic.
Every single member of my team is a lot more academically qualified than you. Like,
you never named them. You never mention them. You never link to their socials. You never cite who did what part of your videos. Again, just doubling down, performatively doubling down, knowing his audience will just gulp it up, and that's all he needs to, that's all the people he needs to convince.
On a completely different level. That's a fact. He didn't take that
Yeah, remember, one of his experts is a published author, which could be Shadiversity.
because he knows. He's afraid of the videos. He's scared that his audience is going to go click them and be like, man, this video is well researched. What is David on about?
Okay, I think we really need... We're only 24 minutes into the video, and it's been an hour 15. Okay, I'm going to try and skip ahead to the actual arguments that are like... when he actually responds to the things that Dave's are saying. Because I know Dave spent a good chunk at the beginning talking about how Metatron is just a slop tuber. Let's not get hung up on that too much.
Instead, he showed those videos that were...
Trolls. It's also worth mentioning that lots of people have commented on my channel remarking about how sad it is to see someone demolish his credibility by becoming this brand of...
Yes, and the same type of people who hate you comment under my videos when I post them. That means nothing. I don't care. If someone says, LOL, Metatron is a Nazi apologist clown, do you think I care about what someone like this thinks? Or even someone who says, I used to like Metatron and he went completely anti-woke. I don't care. I really don't. If people... By the way, these are not people that are ready to engage with someone who's still being decent, but simply disagrees with them. And I haven't used the word woke on a title for years. But they don't care about the truth. What these people do, these people go into Reddit. There are specific Reddits dedicated to lie about me. They decontextualize me. They don't say anything when I attack. For instance, there are these Reddits that only show when I attack the left, but never show when I attack the right, even on X.
Again, like, I've shown, like, that was almost like 2 years ago. I showed side to side how Metatron deals with the left and how Metatron deals with the right. Something that he himself has never engaged with. Something that he never responded to. Like, my argument was that when he attacks the right, when he used to attack the right, that is, it was kind of like to balance the scale, to work on his optics, where he realizes, yeah, it seems I'm attacking the left a bit too much, so let me attack the right. But even the way he attacks the right has always been wildly different in its proportions, in its tone, than when he's attacking the left. At which point, like, the argument at the time was just like, just say you're right-wing, man. And now he does. So, to the extent that now he's a lot more open with his views, I don't really care anymore. But I wish he actually, like, it's kind of sad to see him, like, dismiss these comments, because there are so many comments across all the YouTubers who talked about Metatron, about around all the social medias, where people who used to like Metatron talk about why they don't like him anymore. And it's not just, like, frivolous like Nazi apologist or anti-woke. Like, a lot of people talk not just about that, but how Metatron just went completely low effort. They used to enjoy the effort that Metatron is saying, oh, you're ignoring like my higher effort videos. You don't make those anymore. Or if you do, they are completely drowned in all the reactionary slop that you're making all the time. And you should know for yourself, like, you reached 1 million subs, like around the time that Charlie Kirk died. You've never had more subscribers since then. You're stuck at the exact same number because it's a constant fight between all the people who are tuning out of your channel and the few chuds you get to come on by rage baiting on Twitter. That's all you're doing. That's the only reason you haven't went below 1 million completely, is because you are supplementing all the subscribers you're losing with right-wing chuds from across the internet. Nobody likes your content anymore, and you've completely stagnated. And it's not just because the left is a cult and they don't care, they don't want to be on your channel anymore. It's you're just not a good YouTuber anymore. Your content doesn't have any value. It's pointless, it's rage bait, it's slop. That's what unites most of the people, because most of the people who tune out of your channel are not far-right leftists or whatever. They're just disillusioned. They're like, okay, like, I don't interested in what this guy is saying anymore. It's just so lazy. Reflect on that. You've had all the chances in the world to reflect on this, and you never do. That's what's so disappointing about you.
Because I attack, even though I am right-leaning, I'm absolutely right-leaning. It's not like I'm hiding it. I'm not an extremist, though. I'm not a radical. I'm not full of hate. Like you, Dave. And as I've always said to my audience, you can be centrist, right-wing, left-wing, as long as you're decent people and you're not hateful, then I don't have a problem if we agree.
And again, him being decent means as long as you're polite about your views, you're decent. And this is what I call weaponized decorum, or weaponized decency. He's weaponizing decency, where he's like, oh, well, as long as you behave nicely, no problem. But again, Nick Fuentes is invited on the mainstream, and he's going to be polite for sure, but then he goes on his stream and he says that women shouldn't have the right to vote. He says we should live in a white ethno-state. He says Hitler is based. He says the Holocaust didn't happen. Like, and Metatron is just going to be there like, oh, no, I strongly disagree. And then you have someone like Kyle Kalinske sharing like a meme that's a little too edgy, and he's like, this is disgusting. You're our scum, Kyle. And it's like, you really have your priorities straight, man. This is what I'm talking about. And yeah, Metatron, like, you are full of hate because all you do on your channel, on your Twitter, is rant about Muslims. Rant about Muslims, rant about the LGBTQ community. Where's the compassion? Where's the love in the stuff you publish? It's all rage. It's raging content. It's rage bait. It's anger. It's you being pissed that you got a rainbow flag on your PlayStation and saying you did not consent. Like, there is nothing wholesome or positive about your channel. Nothing. And what there was that was positive is long gone. It's fun to like make fun of him for it today, because like after all the chances he got to like see the flaws and try to redirect his channel and to think critically of what's being said, he's just shut all of it out. And there's nothing to be done anymore. So ridiculing him like this is all that's left.
You disagree. I'm a Christian, you're an atheist, I'll respect you. As long as you're not one of those that is full of hate.
And I just want to clarify that too. I don't care if Metatron's a right-winger. Like, to the extent I disagree with his politics, like I do, and I don't think it's good to have politics that can harm people, which can be where those politics lead. But that's never been the reason that I had an issue with him. The reason I had issues with Metatron is because he lies in his content. It's because he makes a lot of mistakes, and instead of rectifying them, he doubles down. And he hides behind what he perceives to be, like disrespect, to conveniently avoid having to engage with any of the criticisms, critically. Do you finish this video? Yeah, I should finish this video, like.
It's really that simple. Now, there are people that go into Reddit and they see that they put all the, like, out of context, they cut a piece when I'm responding to someone, and they show that so that it makes me look bad, and they believe it.
Okay, you have a problem with how people are framing you on Reddit. Listen, I've made multiple videos on you, Metatron. If you feel that I've clipped you out of context, if you feel that I've misframed you, you are completely free to respond to them, as you have been for the past 2-3 years. You choose when the arguments are in good faith, but they are actually like attacking your channel in a way that really takes away from your credibility, you ignore them. You hide from them. The only left-winger that he's ever responded to, kind of, is with Not an Expert. And Not an Expert, his entire shtick was to make all the same criticisms that I have, but to never take them to their firm conclusion. A lot of the things he's Not an Expert would say are true, but he would stop just short of saying that makes Metatron a racist. And that's why Metatron felt okay with responding, but as May said earlier, when he responded, he just focused on the nice parts, inconveniently ignored all the parts that are more critical, so he wouldn't have to deal with them.
I don't care about people like this, because if you had any decency, if you see that they're painting me like this fascist Nazi, you will notice that yes, I raised hell when Charlie Kirk died, and all of those progressives were laughing at him and asking for the more violence towards his children and wife. I raised hell and I'm proud of it. I'd do it 1,000 times more. Yeah, I lost a few thousand people. I'm proud of it. And Redditors are like, oh, he probably was secretly gay with Charlie Kirk. They used being gay, the leftists, the liberals used being gay as an insult towards me. Just so you know. I also spammed my ex when people laughed at Rob Reiner's death, even though he was ultra anti-Trump and anti-right-wing.
That's just a straight up lie. Like, I made a post about it. I remember when it happened, because basically all he did is when like the right-wingers started making fun of Rob Reiner's death the exact same way that some of the radicals on the left on the TikTok were making fun of Charlie Kirk, his only reaction was like, if you can't be decent, please just look off for a few days. You know, again, showing that like the tone that he employs when talking about the right versus the left is just completely disproportionate. It's not even close to the same thing.
But the people that laughed at his death, I've got loads of posts. Reddit never shows it. I have attacked politicians.
There's nothing to show. You just said, please log off for a few days. Whereas with Charlie Kirk, you had an image of a bloody microphone, and then like you were carrying it like so brave while standing in a camera. Like, it's not even close to the same reaction. And you know it. That's why there's nothing to talk about. The one thing to talk about is how inconsistent you're being.
The left, I have attacked politicians on the right. Reddit never shows you that. So I don't care about what these people think.
Slop creator, how he used to make
Literally just go on my latest essay and see how he deals with Nick Fuentes versus how he deals with Kyle Kalinske, and that's all you need to know.
decent content, but then completely caved and went full anti-woke reactionary toolbox, and also how badly he's projecting by calling anyone toxic based on his own internet behavior. He's a pointless loser, and he damn...
Mitchell, this is projection. You are the one who is using... I didn't even insult him in my first video. I just said he was toxic, but he is the one
really
who uses all the insults, and now I'm just responding. You don't know what research is.
Oh,
I
really?
responded to him, and I thanked haters. This guy
This
is
is
a
what I was talking
left-winger,
about.
former fan of the channel, and he made a video about me, this one here, and I responded to him, and I thanked him because he was decent. He didn't attack me. He shared concerns, which I think some were valid, some were not.
And you didn't actually do anything about the concerns he raised. Just so we're clear, Not an Expert was so nice. He treated Metatron with such kitty gloves in his criticisms that this is the only reason Metatron responded at all. He wanted to show, well, see, if people are decent, I do respond to them. I do take it into consideration. But again, none of what Not an Expert said actually impacted the way Metatron behaves on his channel. None of it. Which goes to show that whether you choose to insult him, whether you choose to be like harsh in your criticisms, whether you choose to be gentle in your criticisms, the real issue is that you're criticizing him. He will not handle any criticisms well, at least not to the extent that he'll actually like be like, okay, like maybe I need to change the course of my channel, maybe some of the things I've done, like I shouldn't do them again. Like there is no actual effort to change the course of his channel. He doesn't want to.
Some were overreactions and some were misunderstanding or mischaracterizations of my actual points. But I appreciated him and I responded to him. I put a link in the description. I put a link to his Patreon. And I said, guys, you should go and watch him, give him a like, because I really appreciate that at least for once, finally, it's a left-wing channel.
This is actually one of the things that Ben Empanada said. He said, like, I remember Ben Empanada saying that in his in one of his videos. He said, like, the issue is some of the criticisms you're making can't fundamentally be addressed if they cut too deep, no matter how nice they are. Like, if my criticism of Metatron, one of the main criticisms I have of Metatron is that about 2-3 years ago, he let his audience believe, on purpose, that he was censored on YouTube so that they would back him up on Patreon. This is a real story that happened where Metatron, his channel, was briefly demonetized for a reason that remained completely vague. He did get demonetized, but it was likely just a glitch on the part of YouTube, because YouTube has a very clear process through which they demonetize channels, and it has to do with violating their community guidelines. He didn't receive any message about the community guidelines, and none of his videos were flagged in any capacity. He just woke up one day and his whole channel was demonetized, and it stayed that way for a few days until it was resolved with YouTube. But in that process, his whole audience, Shad's whole audience, they all started ringing the alarm bells, saying that Metatron's content was so controversial that he got demonetized and we need to give him financial support. So he ended up getting a massive boost in money on Patreon. And then the proof that he was censored by YouTube never happened. Metatron got demonetized, he panicked, I understand that. But then he got a massive boost on Patreon supporters, and he just let people believe what they want to believe. On that fact alone, he got tens of thousands of dollars over the years from that. Now, I could be completely wrong. I don't think Metatron planned on being demonetized. I don't think Metatron planned, and if you go look at these videos, like, he never explicitly endorses the claim that he was censored. But he does nudge at it a lot. And he never openly says, guys, I was never actually demonetized. This was likely an issue with YouTube, a very costly, a very stressful issue with YouTube that I hope doesn't happen. But there's no evidence that I was censored. He never went out of his way to say that. So all the people who went to support him on Patreon, they did so on the basis that he was censored when it wasn't the case. And if those people knew that he wasn't censored, they could have removed their backing knowing that he's good, that he's safe. But Metatron never gave them that reassurance because it makes him money to do so. Now, how do you say that politely? I mean, I can be polite about it. I can approach it with kid gloves, or I can say he was just a straight-up fraud. But ultimately, the point is the same. The accusation is that he made a bunch of money from his supporters under false pretenses. How do you say that nicely? And it's the same thing with everything else. If the criticism you have of Metatron, like Freda did, that his academic rigor is non-existent, or that his team of experts is non-existent, because we have no proof that he's actually using them, even if you're polite about it, the criticism you're making is one that completely discredits Metatron. So there's no way of being polite about it, not in a way that he's going to be willing to address, because if anything that's being said is true, even if it's polite, admitting to it destroys his channel. If all the people who are backing him on Patreon right now knew that he was never actually censored, that costs him money. If people know that his academic rigor is a complete joke and that he's not someone to be taken seriously when it comes to historical content, his historical content doesn't get any views anymore. This is not something you can just concede to because it was said politely or decently. This is about preservation. And what this guy did is not challenge Metatron's character. He said, yeah, some of the things you say, you may not realize it, but some of the things you're saying are double standards. Some of the things you say sound hypocritical. And Metatron can say, yeah, I understand how you feel that way, but really, I just disagree. Let's agree to disagree and move on. And nothing gets resolved. Nothing happened from the video Not an Expert made. Because Metatron couldn't concede on anything. A part of his truth crusading persona is that he can't. So that's all there is to it.
Who doesn't make a disgusting hit piece full of lies about me, like Freda, or the other of that kind. Or Dave, as you can see, proving the point. This guy's still a lefty. He was decent. He did not attack me ad hominem. And so
But what you would call attacking ad hominem is saying that Metatron
doesn't know what he's talking about. He would say that's an ad hom. You would say Metatron is a hypocrite because you can like literally look at two situations where he reacts very differently, even though morally they should be equivalent. And you would say that's an ad hom. Again, like there's no... The only way, I've said that multiple times, but the only way Metatron is actually going to be held accountable is when he talks to someone directly. And guess what? He ain't doing it because he knows. That's why he's a real coward. That's why he's the coward.
Shared it, and I reacted to it. I was very kind. I was very understanding. I tried to see it from his point of view. And this is what I do, but he's not telling you about it. Drag you through the mud. He's dragging you through the mud. Haha, he destroyed you, wrecked you. Why do you even... You're wasting your time. It's a colossal waste of time because 80% of what you're listening to...
Okay.
Games, he throws a toddler. There is
Insults? If you think so, then whatever.
anytime there is any depiction of black people in TV shows, movies, or video games, he throws a toddler tantrum.
So, and I am the one who slandered him? I am the one who slandered him. He's slandering me. He's calling me a racist. Out of what? What did I say, Dave? Did you watch these videos? Obviously not, because you don't do research. Watch them and tell me what I said that was racist.
Well, for one, you say it's anti-white to cast people of color in a movie. Also, one of these videos, like, we need to talk about the casting about the sick Christopher Nolan. Isn't there one of those videos where you call her Ellen of Congo after calling her Ellen of Detroit? That's racist, dude. How did you feel, Duke, when you saw that Dave made a video about Meta? I felt a little giddy, to be honest. I mean, again, it's never going to actually lead to anything because, as I've just pointed out, whether you are polite to Metatron or you are rude to Metatron, it will not actually make a difference. You know, you can go towards my earlier videos, and even Metatron described my earlier videos as harsh but fair, implying that, like, I might have made some good points and I might have been rough, but he sees that I was coming at it from a decent place. And now, because I've kept going in that direction, now he just labels me a hater. And as I'm a hater, that means none of my points are relevant. But again, like, he literally called her Ellen of Detroit, he called her Ellen of Congo, and he said that castings of black people in traditionally white roles is anti-white. I could see some racism in there. So there you go.
What did I say? That is racist, Dave.
About that too. Here's a whole video whining about the casting in Chris Nolan's Odyssey.
So one thing I'm noticing, of course, is there you go, Imesh Patel, Corey Hawking, and that's not because of racism. Oh my God, aren't you, and your kind and your ilk, sick of just using this over and over again? Like when someone says this historical character was not black. Please don't swap historical characters, and don't swap mythological characters either.
I'm just going to reiterate a point that I've been making forever since then, because Metatron's cop-out of that answer is, well, they should just make movies with black people in Africa, and then it happened with The Woman King, and he made a review of it without watching it. So again, once again, you show that there is a bias, and it's been there for a while. He's just pretending like he never did that, and he keeps making the same point as if it hasn't been already shown that it's not a sincere argument he's making.
I don't like it. I think it's respectful to maintain them the way they are. And I say the same for whitewashing. Don't whitewash black historical characters, nor black mythological characters. This is what I say, and I've been saying in every single one of these videos.
Oh, so he keeps saying historical character. It's the Odyssey. It's fiction.
And then here you are, calling us racist for it because you want to undermine my argument. That's what you're doing. You want to call me racist so that you don't have to attack the argument. Is this really that smart?
Again, he attacks your arguments again. It's just you and I, by extension, are talking so much that we're just not getting there.
Is that all of your intelligence on display? Attack the argument. You still haven't. Lupita Nyong'o. So one thing I'm noticing is that, of course,
Let's get to the
era, right? Too ethnic. Of course, there were no black people in Europe before the modern era, right?
I didn't say that. You see, it's straw man. It's straw man. I have videos. It's like
I have videos.
When
he's making a hyperbolic joke,
bad, by the way, and I'm proud of that.
For the anti-woke infantry who couldn't tell.
Yeah, I do think woke is back. My argument,
I do appreciate
Dave.
that.
In reality, this is the most pathetic kind of loser on the internet. A mindless soldier for the anti-woke infantry who couldn't tell.
Yeah,
this is literally Metatron's entire video right here. This is all this is.
I do think woke is back point in the worst way possible.
Tell you what woke means with a gun to his head and who acted like
I know what woke means. I know exactly. Woke, oh, I can't say it, I'll prove you wrong. Woke initially meant to be awake when it comes to social injustice, so that your eyes are open, you're not sleeping, and you are cognizant of how minorities are being mistreated when it comes to both sexual minorities and racial minorities. That's what it used to mean, and women's rights, although for some reasons that one went out the window when feminists started supporting Islam. But apart from that, that's what woke used to mean. And I said multiple times, had you done your research, Dave, I said multiple times I would have no problems with the original meaning of the word woke, but then the word woke was hijacked by some of the most toxic people on the internet, like you, who then pretended...
I don't even think Dave uses woke, except to describe people who are anti-woke, like Metatron, right? I never heard Dave say like something is woke. Nor do I even hear anyone on the left actually use the word woke now. Every time people talk of woke, they mean the term anti-woke, and it's just a word being used to describe chuds who complain whenever there's diversity in movies and video games. That's all it is now. It went from the original definition that he just gave of woke to essentially just anti-woke. The part in between where he's talking about like, oh, the toxic radical left doing diversity and stuff like that, that part was never really considered woke. It was considered diversity. That's all it was.
To care about social justice, but in reality did what you do. Accused everyone of being a racist when they have just even the most basic, mild, and...
Oh yeah. It went from the original definition of woke to woke scolds. Woke scolds was like the wave of triggered SJW snowflakes in 2016 that did exist and that was cringe, and they're really just called woke scolds. And so we went from the original woke to the woke scolds to the anti-woke. But at no point do you have the left today just saying like, oh, that's woke and that it's good that it's woke. No one uses that word anymore, precisely because it's been hijacked in so many different ways, especially by the right, that it doesn't really mean anything anymore. Yeah, he forgets to say how the right is the one who hijacked the term. It is.
Justified counter-argument or disagreement on any topic that had to do with or any type of minority, or you called us homophobic or you called us transphobic. Well, it doesn't work anymore. So then the right wing hijacked the word woke to use it as a disparaging word to people of the worst left-wing radical type. That's what woke means. But now the left uses woke to try and shame people who use it.
We don't. It's literally just they're anti-woke. Because they talk about how much they hate woke. But we never talk about woke of our own volition. I don't see anyone on the left just saying like, oh yeah, be woke. I don't see that.
Oh, he's saying woke, cringe. That's what the left does now, yet you still use all of your buzzwords. So woke has become a buzzword for the right wing now. You cringe at it and try to use it to point the finger and shame, because that's all you can do. Try to shame people and attack them ad hominem because you still haven't attacked my argument because you're not.
Who acted like Charlie Kirk getting killed was on the same level as the JFK assassination.
I never made that comparison.
It's a hyperbolic comparison to say that you were extremely dramatic about it, like it was the end of the world. And you did act like this. You literally made a video reacting to a TikToker, basically describing like a change that is coming, but being so vague about it. And you're like, oh yeah, like it's the beginning of something else, like with Charlie Kirk. Like, yeah, he could have used any other comparison. Just because you didn't make that comparison doesn't mean that the point stands. He's being hyperbolic in the comparison. That's all it is.
I have no idea what he's on about. But I did make it very clear what Charlie Kirk's assassination is, how important it was, and how much it meant for me individually when it comes to making me go stronger on the political scene. What do you think of Charlie Kirk's assassination, Dave? Why don't you share it? Because I had the courage to say it. What do you think?
He had the courage to say what everybody on the right was already saying. You are so brave, Metatron. So brave. You are such a hero for standing up to Kirk's family. I'm sure they know you personally and have taken the time to shake your hand for it. When Erica Kirk is not busy walking through the catwalk with the fireworks right after her husband died, or that message she had on Zoom talking to the employees and that really weird message that she's happy about all the merch they sold, or how she removed the picture of Charlie Kirk from behind her after she took over his podcast. Like, you are so brave, man, for standing up to them. You are so brave when everyone was already doing it. And then you had a few fringe people on TikTok making fun of it. You were so brave.
Anyone who
I'm still waiting for your position on Israel, Metatron.
represents the things he hates must be silenced, and anyone who exposes his
I don't delete anyone. What are you on about? I'm not silencing anyone. Another lie.
Actually, I think he's about to. Hold on.
Another lie. What? Who am I silencing? I never copy claimed anyone. I don't copy strike people.
Metatron, did you ever call for some people to be banned off social medias?
I don't delete anything. What are you on about? I don't say people shouldn't speak.
stupidity is enacting cancel culture. Always the victim, no matter how obvious his own offense is. Oh, he's also really dumb, too.
You said also. You don't need to add to. It's redundant. Either also or to.
He admits to
Weaponized pedantry, okay.
being a creationist in this video.
When it comes to me, I'm mostly an old Earth creationist, and to be specific, I am a day-age creationist. So to me, the 7 days of creation are not literal in the sense they did not last one day, but I see them as epochs of unspecified lengths of time. No, okay. So this is, if you're a Christian, you should not subscribe to him. You should unsubscribe because he mocks you. He thinks you're stupid if you're a Christian. He's doing this on purpose.
Yeah, and even Dave made a clear distinction that he's making fun specifically of a certain groups of Christians that are creationists like that. But not all Christians are like this. Not all religious people are like this. But I like that Metatron is now saying, well, if you're a Christian, you should who are you to say that? You're not. You're not the speaker for all of Christianity. If anything, that's the Pope. And you're even criticizing the Pope as if you have any authority to do that. And I really don't care. This is not a part that I'm interested in.
When I said the big, but old Earth creationism, I agree with some to be. If I present the video, and this was chance, we're all dumb. Well, fine. If that's what you think, I'm a Christian. I'm proud of it, and I think God made us. I believe Jesus.
And again, this is you want to talk about strawman? This is a strawman.
Prepared.
Dave literally said he makes fun of a specific part of Christianity, and not a lot of people actually associate with that part either. Anyway, so.
And any pseudo-historian flavors, but we both know that's never going to happen, right? And of course, what would any pseudo-historian be without a desperate attack on Flint Dibble?
I'm attacking. Look, I'm gonna be very pedantic on this because I have to be meticulous because he misrepresents everything. Brutally attacking Flint Dibble's Saxon genitive that represents possession, rhetoric, and argument. Guess what? I didn't insult the man once in 53 minutes and 55 seconds. In fact, we talked after this, and at first we were going to have a conversation. If you really want to know it, at first we were going to have a live stream together. So I think if I had actually attacked him on that video, personally, Flint, I don't think it would have been okay to come to my channel. I didn't.
Well, you don't know that. I mean, a lot of people have a lot more spine than you. So maybe you would have, but who knows?
Not accept him, however, to come to my channel because he was ultra controlling. I have all the receipts because I have all the messages, but I'm not going to show them even though I clashed with Flint and then we had a massive argument on X, and then we don't talk to each other. But still, I'm respectful enough, I'm honorable
So someone should dig that up, I'm curious.
enough. Honor, something that, of course, Dave wouldn't understand. I'm honorable enough that I'm not going to show Flint Dibble's private messages without his consent. But I can say that in those discussions that we had on how this live stream was going to go, he was controlling. He was like, you're not going to read any super chat, and if they ask questions, I'm not going to say them, and then, no. I'm not going to let you control my stream on my platform. I'm going to read whatever super chat I want. And if people want to ask questions to my guest, they will be allowed to ask questions. And then if you don't feel comfortable as a guest responding to the question or answering, that's okay. But the idea that I'm supposed to, you talk and we listen, not going to happen, Flint. Not going to happen. So look how he misrepresented this. I mean, my best guess here, if I had to guess, is that Flint wanted to have a natural conversation on the methodology
of the work he does, and he doesn't want to get distracted by the kind of skeptics that make up the bulk of Metatron's audience. I mean, I've told Metatron, that I would speak to him either in private or in public. I figured that if it's in public, he would want it to be exactly like what he just described, on his channel and with his chat, and that would mean that I would get a lot of hostility, from his audience. Personally, I don't care. So if that's an issue Flint had with you, I wouldn't have it. So, feel free to have me on and we can actually debate.
Brutally attacked him, and I say it, read the title.
Brutal, devastating, huge red flags. Flint fucked my mom. We don't have time to
Don't talk about my mum. Take my man out of your mouth.
Well, but he fumbles this shit every fucking time, endlessly whining over and over again about Flint referencing white supremacists.
Yes, and so do you, because we are sick of it. We have white supremacy fatigue. That's all you guys do. It's your mantra. It's your mantra. It's exhausting.
Yeah, this moment is really dumb, and I don't know if I even said at the beginning, because I saw the preview yesterday, and I was like, okay, this is going to set the tone for the entire video, which it is. And I think I remember, like, last summer, I had a conversation with Trill Black, who's part of, like, the Black History / Afrocentrist community, and he was telling me the same thing happened to them. One of the YouTubers in that community had made a video on Metatron, and he made a joke, like a yo mama joke, essentially. And Metatron had the same reaction, like, look at how indecent he is making a joke about my mom who died of cancer. And it's like, it's a your mom joke, okay? What makes you think that Dave, like, actually knows for a fact that your mother died? You made one video on that when I was doing some essay on you. That's what I remember. So that was, what, like 2 years ago? It's buried at this point. Like, he's just supposed to know that your mom is dead, and his joke about your mom is meant to be, like, indecent like that? No, like, it's a your mom joke. It's a your mom joke. And it's just in line in that sense with everything else that Dave is saying. Yes, he's rude to you. Yes, he's mocking you. But he's not actually going like, haha, your mom is dead of cancer. And Metatron trying to, like, frame it that way is, like I said, weaponizing his mother's death to try and paint Dave in an even worse light,
I've debunked so many universities. Every time, white supremacy, white supremacy, white supremacy. Just shut up.
Accusing him of being racist towards white people. It's all he can do.
The radicals are racist against white people. What do you think? Do you think it's impossible to be racist towards white people? Let me guess. That's exactly what you think, isn't it? Well, prove me wrong.
No one on the left is actually saying you can't be racist to white people. Usually it's more like in the systemic sense that we're talking about. But of course there are people of color who are racist towards white people. They exist, of course. No one is denying that. But what you would consider anti-white is pretty flimsy compared to, like, the actual documented systemic racism that can actually be studied in society. But again, like, Metatron is, like, full in on anti-white racism. It's okay to be white. It's okay to be Anglo-Saxon. He's stopping just short of the Great Replacement in some aspect. He literally said that before Zoran Mamdani was elected as mayor of New York, he literally said, like, we should not vote for him to keep the West as the West. So in his mind, Muslims are destroying the West. Muslims coming over here are a threat to white people. He literally said that the Democratic Party is literally working for the devil himself and that they are anti-white. That's how sold he is on that. He's stopping just short of, like, who's orchestrating all of these threats on white people. Like, where is this coming from? I wonder if he has an answer to that.
Unreal. The intellectual bankruptcy is off the charts, and it's never anything about actual archaeology. It's all the culture war crap.
I don't do archaeology, by the way. I have a few videos on archaeology. As usual, he's lying. But I'm a history channel, and there are hundreds...
You're a slub channel. You were a history channel, not anymore. I think based on your latest output from the past year, we can safely assume you're not really a history channel anymore.
Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of videos that are all about the education.
From the past decade, maybe. Not really anymore. Like, it's funny how you keep omitting that. Like, I know you're trying. Sometimes you try and go back to it. But if we look at the totality of your output just recently, someone who goes on your channel, who is introduced to your channel right now, are they going to be introduced to historical content? Or are they going to be exposed to anti-woke, reactionary slop? Like, which are they most likely to see from you, Metatron? And I think if they're more likely to see one, then that should be the one that, you know, we use to define your content.
But when I think something is bullshit, I'll call it out. And I don't care that people like internet at this point.
Okay, so just so we're clear, we're 41 minutes in, and as far as we know, we're still in like maybe the first 5 minutes of Dave's video, which is when he just like roasts Metatron before going into the actual response.
Then why don't you destroy our arguments? Why do
Well, why don't you destroy the arguments? You're still 5 minutes in, like, just so we're clear.
you have to lie and pretend that I have no videos that are actually and you duck?
Desperately attacks actual scholars while fumbling absolutely everything, whining about woke liberals and soiling himself.
Did I ever use the word woke liberal in combination? I don't even know. Maybe. We'll look it up. Do you that watch my content? But at this point, even if you're a hater, click a random video. See if I say
Okay, fine. He is strawmanning you to death. To the arguments.
By lying about them is...
Okay, with all that for context, shall we dig into this pile of horse manure?
Yeah, he is 44 minutes into his own video at this point.
We see what...
Once again...
But he is 9 minutes in. You can't see because of my cam. He is 9 minutes into Dave's video, and that's when Dave finally starts talking about like the actual, you know, beef and the arguments. Metatron is 44 minutes into his own video.
In another, horse manure, how does that address my argument, and how does that prove that when I demonstrated you lied, I was wrong? I'm gonna have to repeat this throughout the entire video.
You have 9 minutes to watch the... You have 40... No, not even. You don't even have 40 minutes left. You have 34 minutes left to look at the rest of Dave's video.
Is all about which horrible lies I told.
Okay.
Let's take a look.
There is a channel, Professor Dave Explains. Many of you, of course, know him. He posted this video 7 days ago. This is a response to many content creators who have, over the years, called out the fact that he is toxic.
Many? You mean 2? 2 is many now? And is that really what the video is about?
Really? There are only 2 people. Even if you are a massive supporter of Dave and you hate my guts, can you admit as well? Can you say, no, I still hate you, I don't care, but that's a lie? Are there only 2 people that made videos against him? Really?
No, he's talking because it's based on the way you framed this video, that there's a lot of people who did it, and then he's saying, well, I'm only talking about like 2, you know? Come on.
In the entirety of the
Just like evangelism and MAGA
of YouTube. There should be more, though.
Or is it about the trolling and Zionism and MAGA and reality denial in general, making it very broad social commentary? How do you not even know what the video is about? Oh right, your dumb face didn't watch it, just like every other troll I'm mocking in that video. Sweet irony. Yes, you made a video calling me toxic for absolutely no reason.
Yeah, the reason is that you...
Are we going to address that at all? He just accused you of not watching the whole video, only watching your own section, and that because you watched his own section... because you only watched the section on you, you missed the broader point of the video. That's the accusation. So we're just going to move past it and pretend like he didn't say that?
You're toxic. How can you not see that? You see, people keep saying, even people that attack him, keep saying, but you know, he's wrong with this, he's wrong, he doesn't know anything, but he's not stupid. I'm starting to think he is, because at this point, how does he not see that? Like, how does he not see? He must not have the intellectual capacity to realize that, yes, you're toxic. And you're being toxic on this video.
But how would you know if you didn't watch the entire video that explains why he behaves the way he does? He just told you didn't watch the whole video. Did you? What are you making this argument based off? Just the one section on you? Those comments you cropped out? That's the point Dave was making, that all the people who accuse him of being toxic keep omitting that he's responding to trolls. And that's what the whole video is about, but you don't know that because you only watched your own section.
How can that disprove my...
That's like making a review of a movie you didn't watch, something that Metatron is guilty of doing. One of his most viewed videos on his channel is about the Woman King, and he did not watch the movie. This is the same thing.
Attack. I said you're toxic, and you're being toxic on this video.
But toxic... Again, Dave is responding to people who don't watch his videos and are saying crap about him, who are mischaracterizing him based off nothing because they don't watch his videos, they don't engage with his content critically. And you're here saying, I'm wondering if he's kind of stupid because, you know, I'm still making the exact same point, even though I still haven't watched the video. This is what I'm saying, like, I don't even want to say that Dave and Metatron are speaking past each other, because Dave is very straightforwardly making a point that is literally just flying over Metatron's head, and Metatron is just, like, sticking to the same point as if, you know, it still makes sense when it doesn't, because it's been addressed, but he's not addressing the address.
That proves me right. How do you not see that? It's so simple logics. Because if you are misrepresenting me and strawmanning the entire time while throwing a tantrum like a child that you are, and at the same time...
Okay.
Metatron, don't you, dickbag? Those they didn't watch. You really know how to put the meta in Metatron, don't you, dickbag?
Oh, wow, he won. After this, my arguments are all null.
Well, did you watch the video? Yes or no? Did you watch the whole video or just your section? Because the point is that you're wrong because you're not watching the whole video. Did you watch it? Yes or no?
Even in the comments, how he looks down on people.
He never addresses it, does he?
It kind of puts me off. That's all I said. But apparently it was sufficient for him to lose sleep. I really hurt his feelings, I suppose.
No, you're a bug under my shoe. Your pathetic Dave is toxic video simply fit the theme of my video you didn't watch.
That means yes, by the way. The fact that he's saying this, you're a bug under my thing. It's because if I didn't hurt his feelings, he would have responded calm.
Again, it could literally just be projection where you're the one who's responding because you're butthurt and he's living rent-free in your head. Have you considered going on his channel to see how many content creator Dave attacks on a yearly basis? He goes against everybody. He's constantly... Sorry guys, my nose is getting stuffy. He's constantly getting into beef with other creators. He's constantly making essays and exposing frauds and grifters. That's what he does. Like, literally, like, hold on. Didn't he, let's see. Recently, like, another, like, great video he made. Where is it? The telepathy tapes are a scam. An hour and 26 long video, and that's just Dave exposing someone else. Like, he does this stuff all the time. He even debates live callers. He reacted to Professor Jiang. Like, his whole shtick is that he talks about other influencers, other speakers, other science communicators, other frauds, like other people. That's what he does. Metatron, he made a video in which you were just like a tiny little mention. He made a segment used your video, but that's only a small part of a broader video where he's talking about other things. And then he decided to make a video dedicated to you. But he's been at it for years. You are not the center of the universe. You are not in his head the way you think you are. He saw you being an idiot because you didn't watch his video, and you still haven't, as far as we know. And you decided, yeah, that's good content. Here's another lying fraud to make fun of. And that's what he did. Like, that's all it is. Dave is like this. He is crass when he debunks. He does that too. And that's really just all it is. Like, this idea, like, oh, you know, like, he only does this video. Like, no, come on, get over yourself, Metatron. Just feel flattered that he decided to include you at all, because it's the one thing right now that's keeping your channel relevant.
But he didn't. He had to counterattack. It's an animal that has been cornered. And he's now...
An animal that's been cornered, dude! His engagement on any of his, like, non-educational video is so much more than yours. He doesn't need you. You need him. You need people like him to stay relevant. This is why at the beginning you're like, we should have like a whole exchange. You want that exchange because it gives you engagement. He does it for fun. He doesn't need that. He's doing plenty good by himself. Talk about being full of yourself. My God.
Going all aggressive because he knows I won. And he's
Get me to punch them back so they can accuse me of being...
addressed the lie.
Nope, I don't owe anybody anything. If somebody punches me in the face in order to get me to punch them back so they can accuse me of being violent, I'm not going to avoid punching them back just because they've set up this infantile trap. I'm going to punch them back because it's my right to do so. It doesn't make me violent. It's called self-defense. The first puncher is violent, and the first troll is toxic. I will defend myself against character assassination if I please, with whatever language I choose. This all reeks of the precise behavior I outlined in my video. Zionists labeling anyone who resists Israeli terrorism behavior I outlined in my video. Zionists labeling anyone who resists Israeli terrorism as terrorists. MAGA snowflakes having meltdowns and shouting TDS at anyone who points out fascism and unconstitutional behavior. This is the reality denial that is destroying human civilization, and he's proudly exemplifying it.
Because, I mean, if he wants to debunk people who call him toxic and makes a video and he acts toxic, wouldn't it follow reason then that we're all correct about you?
No, because you'd first have to be correct in calling me toxic in the first place, dumbass. Being a toxic...
But you have been toxic for years. Of course we are correct.
But your toxicity, as you define it, is just being crass. It's being indecent. Again, it's the whole decency thing again. Metatron's argument is, whenever someone insults you, and your response is to insult them back, that's toxic. Dave's argument to that is, well, if someone is being toxic to me first and I just respond in kind to them, I'm not being toxic, it's self-defense. It's the first troll who's toxic. It's the person who makes a video slandering me without matching my content that is toxic, and I'm just responding in kind. That's his argument, and once again, it just completely flies over his head because he's like, well, you're just mean, so you're toxic. There's no critical thinking here. There's no actual engagement with what's being said.
This isn't a matter of, this is how he doesn't really get basic logic. If you were a normal human being who's
Basic logic is, if you use meanie words, you're meanie. That's all Metatron has right now.
not toxic, and then I accuse you of being toxic, and then in self-defense you say, you act toxic towards me, that's one thing, but this is not, this is how you're trying to frame it, but it's clearly not. No, you've been toxic for years. Why? Because you had a failed channel that was not getting any views, and I sympathize, I also struggle with views. A lot of us do. Freaking Linus Tech struggles with views these days. Everybody struggles with views. So, you were struggling with views. Nobody cared about your teaching content. So, you went into this toxic spree, and that's how you saved your channel.
And what's this toxic spree you're talking about? Because if what you're talking about is him just insulting people, there's two ways Dave does it. Either there's like someone who's spreading like active misinformation that can harm people, you know, like RFK, being skeptical of vaccines and then being in charge of the Ministry of Health, whatever it's called in the States. Even if RFK himself is not like a interpersonally rude person, what he's doing, what he's sharing is extremely toxic. So Dave is going to come in and say, don't listen to this fraud. And Metatron was like, oh, you call someone a fraud? That's toxic. You can't do that. That's mean. You're toxic. And it's like, no. Again, like, even if you want to make the claim that, like, oh, he went down that path because he had a failing channel or whatever, like, you don't even know that, but it doesn't matter. The point is, he's actively attacking people who are doing harm in the form of misinformation and monetizing their audience that they trick into believing false things. You know, that's what I mean. This is how Dave is being toxic, is because he has no decorum when it comes to addressing frauds and uninformed trolls. That's his thing. Dave is still doing educational videos. If he didn't care about it, he would have dropped it all, yet he still does make them. He does. Like, they don't make as many views, obviously. Wait. But he still got the demonstrative, I am a reaction, quantum chromodynamics. He still makes them. Obviously, they don't make the same amount of views, but he's still making them because he's still a science educator. And then on the side, at the same time, he exposes frauds. That's what he does. But again, like, that's really just it. Like, the only way Metatron can argue against this is by purposefully ignoring what's being said and pivoting towards his original point as if Dave's argument was never made.
No. It's a reality. This is how it is. And even to this day, he makes a toxic video, he gets 500,000 views. He makes a teaching video, he gets 6,000 views.
So again, like, his entire strategy is double down on everything I say, pretend what he said isn't valid, but don't really substantiate it. Don't actually engage with what Dave is actually saying. Just keep repeating the same thing. This is the real damage control.
With 3.6 million subscribers. So he has an incentive to be toxic. And you did. You did it for the money. You did it for the money. And you didn't care who you were slandering, who you were lying about, who you were dragging through the mud, as you say. You didn't care about that because you don't care about the truth. You just care about the dollar. And you care about screaming like a child to people and insulting them so that you can continue to feed this weird, hungry, toxic machine that you've created that is your channel, that has all of these poisonous people that enjoy you insulting people and want more. And now you have to give them more. This is what you have created. And it's the only way this works. But then people call you toxic, and you can't say, well, then I can be toxic back because I was never toxic. You were for years. It's demonstrable. It doesn't matter if you think individually you're not God. So what you think could be wrong, Dave. I know it's difficult for you to accept this, but what you think could be wrong. So when you think that someone is a grifter or you think that someone is a fraud, sometimes you might be right, sometimes you might be wrong, but you don't care. And you're fine accusing people like you're doing with me. You're clearly wrong about me. You didn't research anything. This does not count as research. Half of what you're doing is strawmanning me. Half of what you're doing is direct insults because you can't prove anything. You're taking everything out of context and you don't care. But people will call you toxic for it. And you can't cry about it. Well, you can if you want, but it's embarrassing.
Troll and calling me toxic for no reason isn't an argument. And when I
calling me toxic for no reason. His entire channel is a reason.
Shit on you for calling me toxic for no reason, you can't then call me toxic simply for defending myself against toxic trolls. You're bad at this.
The first section is the one where we will demonstrate without any shadow of a doubt that Professor Dave doesn't do any research when it comes to the people he attacks. So he will call you names. He will say, you're a bigot, you're a racist, you're a fascist, you're a Nazi, scientifically illiterate, you don't know anything. He will use all sorts of insults, but he doesn't research you.
I don't need to do any research, moron. If someone says something racist, I call them a bigot. If they confidently...
If you said something racist, so is Cleopatra is not black, is that racist? Well,
No. I mean, I can say that. I don't think Cleopatra was black, so I don't think it's racist to say she wasn't. Someone might say it, but who cares? Like, that doesn't mean anything. You're using an instance of someone using racism frivolously to reject every single instance of someone being racist and being called out for it. That's what you're doing. You're pretending like all instances of you being called a racist are things like this. There's always going to be someone who is going to call you something weird in a way that like doesn't really matter, okay? I've had someone recently, like I made a post on my channel, on Duke It Out, about how I find that it's much easier to digest all of the news lately by not focusing on the speculative. You know, like if I get news, for instance, that say like, oh, you know, like there's these news that China like is slowly surrounding Taiwan, so they might go to war finally. I find that it's pointless to get anxious over what could happen, and it's easier to digest the news when you focus on what is actually happening. So is China gonna invade Taiwan? I'll look into it when it actually happens. I don't have any control over it anyway, so you know that's what I do. And I've had someone argue with me in the comments of that I'm just a privileged, selfish, first world person for that because I don't actually have to deal with the reality of the people in Taiwan. Does that mean you can't say anything these days without like being called privileged? No. I think the person who said that to me is a complete idiot, and I deal with it when it comes on an individual level like that, you know? And that's the same thing. But Metatron, you literally said Zohar Mamdani should not be elected because of Muslims and 9/11 and keeping the West as the West, implying that Muslims cannot live in the West. That if you're Muslim, you don't belong in the West. That's racist. I'm perfectly okay saying that. And when Charlie Kirk said the exact same thing, he was called a racist, and it was totally valid to do so. This is the real point. The only way Metatron can like say, oh, you know, they just called everything racist and white supremacy and bigotry these days is like by pretending like every time it's being said, it's not perfectly valid to describe what's being said. The only way Metatron will call anything racist is if someone wears a swastika on their arm or a white hood and use the hard R. That's the only time Metatron will say, yeah, that's racist. And even then you will say, I don't really agree with these people. I don't think it's very nice what they do, you know. And then you'll have, you know, someone on the left talking about white privilege as a concept, and he'll be like, this is anti-white racism, how dare they? Racist, anti-white racist, radical leftist cultist scum. you know? Literally. Like, it doesn't mean anything.
According to you, it is, because that's the kind of language I use. I've never said anything. Find it. Look through every video. You will not find a single time when I said anything racist against black people or any minority.
And again, that entirely depends at this point on what he would label as racist. Because again, there's what I just said, that he said about Zoran. There's also the famous tweet of the murder of Irina Zerutska, the Ukrainian refugee that was stabbed by a mentally ill man in Metro a couple of months ago. And he made a post saying that all the surrounding black people in that train who hesitated to help or didn't really realize what's going on, he called all of them anti-white scum and said they all hated the victim because she was white, literally implying that all the black people, one of them happened to be mentally ill and he stabbed the woman, and the reason no one did anything is because they all collectively hated her at the same time. How is that not racist? How is it not?
You will never find anything.
Again, he will never concede to anything racist unless he's wearing a swastika band and a white hood. He will never concede to anything being racist if not for that. He couldn't even call Nick Fuentes a racist in that video he made. He could just say like, oh, I strongly disagree. He's a weasel and a dishonest one at that. No surprise there.
Every time I'm attacking activists, I'm attacking fake professors or professors who are real professors, but they are forfeiting their academic neutrality and their degrees and their expertise for pushing politics. And when I say politics, I mean left-wing race swapping. Yes, that's exactly what I mean. And in fact, not only am one of those who said, instead of race swapping white people and white history into black, which is disrespectful to both white and black, why don't you show us real black history? I've said that. And you could tell me you're only saying it to pretend. No, I made two videos, entire videos, fully researched. They even cost me money. They cost me money to produce because I partnered with my team to research the Queen of Kush, Amarinenas, and I made a whole video to show what a real black queen is.
That's fantastic. And you keep talking. This is literally what I was talking about earlier. You know, like, make movies in Africa. Yeah, that's all nice and dandy. But then there's the Woman King. And you can say whatever you want about the Woman King, but if you actually care about these movies and you want them to happen, the least you can do before you make a review on them, positive or negative, is watch them. Metatron made an entire video on the Woman King. He mischaracterized the statements of leading actress Viola Davis, and that was years ago. And he never acknowledged that. When he made a subsequent video to admit that he never actually watched the film, he instead argued he didn't actually need to do that because him and his team of experts actually split the video between themselves. It was such a weaselly little lie. It was so stupid. Metatron doesn't actually care. It's a cop-out, is what it is. I'm sure if they made a video on the Queen of Kush, he would watch it to the extent that this is a topic he cares about. But what happens when this hypothetical movie on the Queen of Kush omits all the slavery they did back in the day? Is he going to complain about it the same way he complained about the Woman King? Because that's one of the issues that the Woman King had, which is a fair argument, but they practice slavery too with the Kandake, you know? So like, what happens if they're not portrayed exactly the same? Are you going to hold it to the same loose standard that you have all of the historical movies you've reviewed, or are you still going to have a double standard? Because you have a double standard with the Woman King, which disproves the sincerity of what he just said. He's basically concern trolling, kind of. Again, it doesn't really mean anything if you don't walk the walk, if you don't practice what you preach. And this is the case here. Woman King was the perfect opportunity, and even in the original video he said, well, I'm glad that they finally did it, but here's why the movie's wrong, except whoops, I didn't bother watching it. I said I would watch those movies if they happen, but no, I can't review that movie. And it's like, it's the same thing I said multiple times when I talk about that movie, but that was 2-3 years ago now. And if the person that you watch, you believe that like they are well researched, that they take the time to makes factual videos and educational videos, and then it turns out that when they make a movie review, they don't even bother watching the movie, and they get even the most basic elements of the plot wrong. How reliable are they supposed to be exactly? Why should you trust them? The funny thing is, if I remember correctly, Dave is going to address Tron's racism, and I can't wait to see if Tron just ignore it or waffles through. I guess we'll check. Metatron does not give BIPOC the cultural respect they deserve, even in his history video days. He always paints them out to be less than Western cultures and doesn't give them cultural credit for the things they've done and contributed to the world. That's a whole other topic. I don't remember enough about it. I do know that like he got into a beef over ancient Egypt and a bunch of other things. I was never sufficiently equipped to judge all the historical merits there. And at the same time, I mean, it's okay for people. Like, this is the one defense I'll give to Metatron. It's okay to have preferences over history. He likes the Roman Empire. I like the Napoleonic Wars. You know, it's okay if he doesn't talk about Napoleon, you know? If he likes Rome and most of his historical content focuses either on the Roman Empire or feudal Japan, and he doesn't really end up in Africa because that's just not a part that he's ever been interested in of itself, that's okay. But again, like, it doesn't change anything to the fact that when he says, well, they shouldn't like do swaps in historical fiction or even fiction in general, they should just make movie with black people in Africa. That's only a valid argument if when they do it, you actually take the time to watch and give it a fair treatment. But he didn't do that. The one time that I know of that he was so lazy about this, that he was completely dishonest and arrogant when it came to something like this, was precisely when they made the exact thing he said he wanted. So, you know, that's all there is. And it is racism, just to be clear. It's not, you know, segregation racism. It's not like Jim Crow. It's not bring back the Confederacy racist. But it's a racial bias. Racism is a spectrum. This is the one thing that Metatron's logic completely omits. Not all racist people, in fact, most people who are racist aren't racist in the sense that like they hate people of color with a passion. That's not how it works. It's bias, it's ignorance, it's stereotypes, that's how it is. And Metatron displayed some of these years ago, and now he's definitely leaning into overt racism on multiple occasions. Like, he's doing it. As much as he says he's not, it's only because for him overt racism is, like I said, swastika band, white hood. As long as he doesn't do that, nothing he says will ever be considered racist.
Rather than Cleopatra turned black even though she was Greek. How is that racist? You called me racist, and you were wrong. I've never said anything racist in my entire channel, and that's why I have black subscribers. Why would they subscribe to me? Because they know that I'm not like you. And I don't pander to nonsense so that people don't call me racist. And then they're like being fed up nonsense. At least with me, they know that I respect them enough to tell them the truth and to tell them, no, this historical character was not black. They're lying to you. How is that racist?
You've never proven me wrong, and there...
What a coward.
Who else has been pointing out what a disingenuous fraud? Proven me wrong, and there...
What a coward.
Who else has been pointing out...
Racist.
You've never proven me wrong, and there...
What a coward.
Who else has been pointing...
Okay, because I could feel a cut there, and I was trying to make sure, like, if he cuts, like, through the video, but he cut, like, 5 seconds. He jumped 5 seconds. It's nothing.
...out what a disingenuous fraud you are.
And there you go. Let's do the virtual signaling. Virtual signaling, guys, he's going to show the in-group versus out-group. Man, this is like tribalism 101.
Here's a guy named Freda who has also exposed you. Focus.
He didn't expose me. Freda lied. It began the video, which was about me, Shad, and Lindy Beige. 3 in the community of the sword, that's the name of our community. He hates us 3 specifically because we're not leftists. Okay?
Again, one thing I said in my last essay was that when you look at the actual exchanges between Freda and Metatron, the video that Metatron made only makes sense if you see it as damage control and projecting confidence for his own audience. Because if you actually look at the arguments that Freda made, Freda's criticism is not that Metatron is not a lefty. All of his arguments are based on the methods, on the approach that Metatron has to history. That's what it is. And if you look at Metatron's response, it's all posturing. It's all calling Freda names. He called him a liar. Freda never even went as far as calling Metatron a liar. But he called Freda a liar. He called him a clown. He called him all kinds of names. And it's like, again, If you're someone who actually looks at the facts, looks at the arguments being presented, because remember, this is what Metatron said at the beginning, the name calling doesn't really matter at the end of the day, it's all about the truth. Well, if you look at the truth is Metatron was objectively wrong. He just was. And that's all there is to it. As long as he can project to his audience that he's the tougher one, that's how he gets away with it. But everyone who is not immediately inside of Metatron's channel, they see the nonsense instantly. This video was for his audience, and it's the same thing with all of the detractors. If he can just convince his audience that everyone else is wrong, that's all he needs to do. Because the actual arguments, they're pretty tight. Metatron barely addresses them at all, and he just complains that everyone is mean. That's, again, the weaponized decorum. Weaponized decency to pivot away from substantive arguments. This is the only weakness you will give that I can give to Dave, is that his choice to mock and ridicule is, for someone like Metatron, giving him the ammo he needs to pivot away. Again, if you look at the actual arguments, it doesn't change anything. But for Metatron, who is relying on his audience, not checking Dave's video, not engaging with the actual arguments, then pointing out to the general meanness is all he needs to do to convince his audience that Dave is in the wrong. That's all it is. But I'm curious now if I'm going to appear in there, if he's going to say anything about me. Say, oh, he's the one who called me a grifter, and Duke It Out is just a liar, and he mocked Charlie Kirk or something. Probably.
Not lefties. But he likes Scalagrim, because Scalagrim clearly has more left-leaning ideas.
Scalagrim's not political. Scalagrim is not making videos on whether the Nazis were left-wing or right-wing. Scalagrim is a sword YouTuber, and that's all he is. That's what he did. He stuck to that. It's possible. I'm pretty sure Scalagrim is a little more left-leaning, but the reason he didn't attack him is because Scalagrim is not making the historical content that you pretend to be making. He doesn't have a team of historians behind him to make the kind of videos that you're making. He's talking about swords. He's actually talking about swords and armors and doing testing. There's really nothing much to say about Scalagrim at all. You're just mad in that sense that you were targeted and that Scalagrim wasn't. Exactly, Scalagrim is just a chill dude. Scalagrim, as far as I know, Scalagrim never made a video to complain about Black Cleopatra. He never made a video to complain about the woke left. But it's not even because of that Metatron was covered by Freda. Freda is literally just, here's all the ways in which that video, the history is done, is just completely flawed. That's all it is.
I don't think he has any problem with Matt Easton. It just so happens that Freda has problems with our research.
Yes.
Just the three guys that happen to be right-wing, I think somewhat conservative, and right-leaning. Just so happens. Yeah?
It's because it's the kind of content you make. And I've said the same thing for myself. You can say that, the reason I attack you is because you're not a lefty, but that was never it. Even if you were a lefty and you didn't watch The Woman King, I would still call you out on it. The issue was never your political leanings. The issue was that your content is lazy and flawed and misleading. And then the issue after that was that in your attempts to respond to these criticisms, you doubled down, you lied, and you ran away like a coward. Every time. These are the criticisms. And I've told you, and I've said it on my channel multiple times, the reason I don't talk about Shad is because Shad, unlike Metatron, the moment he became political, he was very outward. Even if I don't agree with his politics, even if I feel like some of the things he says are really stupid, the reason I talked about Metatron is because Metatron was pretending to be a moderate when all of his commentary was leaning towards the right and was doing it in a way that was very insincere and incorrect. I didn't have that issue with Shad, so I didn't talk about it.
It just so happened. And then he's all buddy-buddy with Scalagrim in the comments. We're like, oh, Scalagrim is really good, guys. Watch his channel. Why? Because of that, it's politics.
It's not politics. You're just wrong.
It's politics. And on this video, Freda began by saying, and all these people like Metatron, Shad, and Lindy Beige, they complain about women in video game. I never did. But
again, You're still making it out to be, like, even when I went over that reaction, he's still making it out to be as if the general statement that Freda is making in his intro is specifically about him, and then he uses that to make it be like he's been completely strawman. No, it was a general statement, and it fits perfectly for someone like Shad, but he's making it about himself to make it sound wrong. And this is what and this is why, like I said, like, I predicted this video was going to be, like, really performative, and it really is. The only way Metatron can keep doing this is by purposefully ignoring the actual arguments that people are making and then just reiterating the same thing as if counter-arguments were never made. This is the real dishonesty here. And this is why I also said that my last essay would likely be the last, because now that he's achieved this level of sheer dishonesty, no amount of debunking, however nice or rude, is going to change anything. You now have a YouTuber of 4 million subs who is clapping Metatron's cheeks, and all Metatron has to do is perform steadiness for his own audience. If he can look steadfast against the attacks, that's all he needs to do to preserve his own audience. This is what the real post-truth era does when it comes to social medias. It's that there is no real consequences for being wrong. Metatron is wrong, but as long as he performs as if he's not, and he can convince his audience that he's correct and everyone else is wrong, he will never suffer any real consequences. To an extent, you can have a loss of subscribers, and in this case, his growth has completely stagnated, that's for sure. But if this was like 10 years ago, he would have been utterly destroyed. 10 years ago, when people still cared about the truth, if this was happening back then, his channel would have been utterly destroyed. Now, he just needs to cling on to his right-wing fan base, and he'll be fine. So all we're really doing by reacting to this feud is demonstrating exactly that.
A lie. He didn't destroy me. It's lies. It's the same thing that you are doing. Freda, Hassan Piker, Destiny. Who else are you gonna like? Bad Empanada? That's another one you like?
On a video where you had the balls to pontificate as to whether the Nazi Party, a famously far-right totalitarian movement, was left-wing or right-wing.
You had the balls. So as you can see, with people like Dave, you have to accept what they state, and you shouldn't. Did you watch it, by the way? Did you watch it? You didn't watch it, did you? You did not watch it. It's just to you, this, because you are dogmatic. You're like a cultist, because you think, you pretend to be like science, but you're not. You act like a cultist leader of the worst kind. And what you do is you dare, this is what we say is the truth from our pulpit, and you all are supposed to say amen. Not, wait a second, how about we sit down and analyze this piece by piece?
Okay, well, you want to analyze it piece by piece, like you can do so, Metatron, but if you're going to make a video like this, the whole point, and that's the point that Freda makes in his video, it's not so much that you're choosing this video as a topic, it's that the way you go about it is completely flawed. Like, the historical consensus, I'll get this right, but the historical consensus on the Nazi regime is that it's far-right. So that's a consensus. If you want to challenge the historical consensus, you need to bring, like, significant counter-arguments that are provable with data to counter all of the consensus from history. This video of yours doesn't do that. What this video does is it reframes the entire topic as if, well, what if we looked at it from the perspective of the modern median American voter, and then I just leave it up to you, the audience, to decide, like, whether that makes them left-wing or right-wing. That's not how analyzing history works. If you want to make the argument, like, go ahead, but it's got to be more than that. Your video, the point of Freda's video, ultimately, when he was talking about this essay, is that your research is very hollow. It's very hollow, it's very flawed. That's it. If you want to lean into the politics and the implications of making a video like that in the first place, my personal interpretation is that Metatron, being the moderate that he was always trying to be, does everything to appeal to the right while dismantling the left. And one of the things that the right loves to do very much is paint the Nazis as far left. Because then you can be like, oh, well, every time the left tries to cancel you, they're being authoritarian like the Nazis. Like, that's all it is in terms of, like, how it's being used on the internet. The only argument that's ever been made to say that the Nazis were left-wing is in the name, National Socialist. And even that is something Metatron wasn't stupid enough to fall into. Even that he debunks in that video. But ultimately, he just makes constant connections between the communists, the USSR, and the Nazis, showing how they are so similar, and saying, well, actually, like the far left communism, that's actually the USSR. So that's why you can say really that, you know, the far left is just like the Nazis, because in a sense they want the same thing. It's the horseshoe. Anyway, I'm already getting sidetracked. I said that'd be quick. I'm so sorry. Let's get back to the video.
Policy by policy, and you will notice that when you do this, there will be some mixed ideas, particularly if you look at it from an American perspective. This video was a very balanced take. Where
it's a balanced take if you're trying to be generous to the far right. If you're trying to be as charitable to the far right while putting very little thought into what it means to be far left. That's the balance you're talking about. And again, it doesn't matter. Like, Freda explained how your methodology is wrong, and you never addressed any of this. You just said he was a clown, and you made fun of him, and you threw a tantrum. That was your response to him. Even this thing where you said, like, oh, this was deeply researched. Where's your team of academics in this video? You don't cite them? They're not in the description. Even Freda said in his subsequent response, you know, you list all your team of academics. Who's your expert on Nazi Germany? And how? And did you cite him? Because if you had an expert, and then he wrote your script, and then you read it without mentioning the expert that helped you out on it, that's a form of plagiarism. Again, none of it has been addressed by Metatron. It's just, okay, they make an argument, just pretend like the argument was never made, and keep reiterating the same point again. Never double down. Always double down, never back out. And if you insist strongly enough, your audience will be convinced, and that's all that matters.
I was showing that just calling it right, you're what? Right wing, while it's clearly mixed. I different. Oh my gosh, this guy
lied and humiliated him again.
Oh, he did talk about Baden-Powell. Oh my gosh, this guy. You're lying with the worst scum that there is on this platform.
Freda actually highlights like the lack of team, or how they're never cited properly. Is he going to skip it on purpose?
Here's another creator named Bad Empanada reacting to his childish response to Freda.
Where he claimed...
Do you know who Bad Empanada is and what he has said? I'll leave it at that. Oh, and then he shows this clown.
Of course he skipped him. And he's about to skip me again. So I guess we got our answer.
Okay. Another liar. And this guy finally shows someone good.
And again, what are those creators saying on him? Don't let them explain. Just give your own quick defense, as if the response by Freda never actually addressed anything you said. Skip the part with No, like Jinx, it just went by. He just said, oh, you know this clown. He didn't even want to mention my name. He didn't even want to address anything. He just skipped over it completely. Doesn't that tell you everything you need to know? Like, the thing he was accusing Dave of doing, where he purposefully did not address the part on the Joe Rogan clip. Metatron just did the whole thing right there. And he's not even trying to hide it. He actually showed you that there's some stuff going on there, and he's refusing to address it. And he just went right past it. How convenient is that? By that standard, Metatron, even within his own logic, he's just proven to himself that he's just as much of a coward. Interesting.
Okay, wait. He's showing the left guy that I actually responded to very kindly because he was decent, differently from the others that he showed. Is he gonna admit that, or is he gonna say that I cried? Let me see.
Now know that you're a pointless loser. How about one more from Not an Expert?
Again, I shared his Patreon. I told my audience, this guy...
And he only shows the guy who's nice.
He has a dream. He was respectful. He has a dream. He's moving to Africa for a safari, and he opened a Patreon page. Let's help him out. Let's make that happen. How's that toxic, Dave?
Obviously, this is just a sampling of each video. Go watch them individually if...
He didn't. He didn't say that I responded nicely and even pushed. Increased the range of that video. Do you understand that, Dave? I said, guys, go watch it, subscribe, check him out, give him a like. Why are you not saying that?
Because the point of him mentioning the videos on you is to imply that your accusation that Dave is not looking into you is basically like, okay, like you don't like that I look far into you enough to your liking. Here's all the people who did look into your content and are all pointing out all of your flaws. And Metatron's response to that was to just ignore all of them. And now you're talking about this one guy who was nice to you, but again, the criticisms that the Not an Expert made were valid, but the only reason that they didn't land anywhere is because he was too nice. He treated you with kid gloves, and you used that opportunity to mostly spend your own response reacting to him, just watching the part where he's actually complimenting you. And Not an Expert never takes all of his arguments to their full logical conclusion, which is that you are dishonest, that you are a hypocrite, that you are a racist. All the things that would make these claims true are things that Not an Expert says in his video. He just never takes it to its finality. And that's why you felt okay, like, addressing him. But you look at the actual comments of the people under Not an Expert, and they're all like way more critical, and Not an Expert ends up agreeing with most of them anyway.
Because you're trying to paint me as toxic. That's something you would never do, and it would make this entire...
But you are toxic, Metatron, that's the thing. You're not toxic in the same way that you would call Dave toxic, because you're not as rude verbally as he is, but the way you handle criticisms is horrendous. Your video, your response to Freda alone, was insanely toxic. It was intellectually bankrupt. It was an embarrassment. It was the most toxic I had ever seen you. This was the most toxic. It is. But anyway, yeah, you skipped all the parts, Jose.
Thing collapsed. How can you even trust him after that? Go check out my video. See how respectful I was.
Yeah, and go check out the complete lack of proper response to all the other ones. Go check out his response to Freda. See how well he behaved. See, you want to talk about toxicity from responding in the comments? Like, I'm just gonna highlight this, okay? Everyone, if you're all new on my channel, go watch this video. Is he crashing out? This is Metatron responding to his own comment section after Freda made a second response on him. And as you can see from the thumbnail, he was just laughing in all caps like the Joker, and he looked completely unhinged, and he was getting ratioed in his own comments. This is Metatron being toxic right here. The only difference is that when Dave roasts the trolls in his comments, he's actually owning them, whereas Metatron got owned by the people in the comments. So after trying this, he stopped doing it. That's the main difference. Anyway.
Prove me wrong.
You're interested in other people doing a much deeper dive than I'm interested in doing here. I'm just dunking on his pathetic hit piece. But the point is, Metamoron, it kind of seems like the whole internet knows what a joke you've become, minus what remains of your...
Not the whole internet, it's just a radical cultists, and I personally don't care what radical cultists think, because it's the same people that laugh at Charlie Kirk's death.
Well, again, who laughed at Charlie Kirk's death, by that logic, I'm included in this. Freda's included, Banampanada's included, Not an Expert could be included to an extent, and all the people who've been critical of him. Like, for him, like, we're all just, like, have the same ideology, and that means we can all be swept aside. And again, I understand he doesn't care, because for him, all he cares about is keeping whatever audience he has left, but his audience is also, like, getting smaller every day. So, you know, it's just a cope.
So I don't care what these people think. I just urge you to repent and find Jesus at this.
Dude, you have lost, and I say that as someone who's not even a Christian, but hey, my parents are Christian, okay? No one has lost their path more than you. You weaponize your Christianity the same way you weaponize the death of your mother, the same way you weaponize the death of Charlie Kirk, the same way you weaponize decency. You have completely lost your way from your own faith. Like, he's already made it clear, you know, that he'll never talk to me. He thinks I'm just being too rude. I will just say this, you know, because when your mother died, Metatron, you made a video, like, talking about, like, her last days and how she was very ill. I don't remember all that much about it, but I got the impression for your video that your mom was just a very sweet lady, okay? I'm just gonna say, if your mom knew what you're doing on the internet, and if she had like a full picture of the way you're behaving, the way you're handling criticisms, the way you hide, the way you cover up your misinformation, I get a feeling she'd be disappointed. That's not me saying, haha, your mom is dead from cancer. This is not me saying that she deserved or you deserve the pain of losing her, but I mean that. If your mom is the sweet person that you described her as being, and she saw what you're doing on the internet, she would be disappointed. You know, you always like trying and turn this around, saying, telling people like, oh, shame on you, you have no honor and everything. You've had years to correct the course of your channel. You know, like, even if I empathize with you to the extent that some people can be very mean online and some people can take the accusations of racism and being a bad person in general, they can take it too far. But the reality is, the only reason you're in this position right now is because you were wrong about some things. Sometimes you were wrong by accident, sometimes you were wrong on purpose. And when people called you out on it, you had an ego. You had too much ego to recognize when you're fundamentally wrong. You could not reconcile how wrong you were on certain things with the image you were building up for yourself as this truth crusader. And so you just kept doing the same thing. And yes, I do believe if your mom saw what you were doing, she would be disappointed. Yeah, he might do what I just said he would do. You know, he might misquote what I said to say that, you know, I'm being disrespectful towards his mother. That would just be him doing exactly what I just said, weaponizing her death. There's this one thing that I heard from time to time, and like, I will not make too firm of a statement, but I would say the same thing of Metatron's grandfather. He says he has a grandfather who in Italy fought the fascists. Fascism is on the rise right now, all across the internet, and especially in the United States. And in Israel. If his grandfather had a good understanding of what fascism is, and he would see the exact same thing happening today, he would take Metatron's, his own grandson's, complete milquetoast reaction to all of it badly. This is what I have to say. This is what I have to say about it.
Point.
Dwindling echo chamber.
A couple of dedicated videos because the guy has zero phonetic training and his Latin pronunciation is terrible. So
I took 3 years of Latin in high school.
Doesn't show.
And that content was written by my mother, who is a classical languages scholar of 50 years.
Then I'm sure your mother is fantastic. I have nothing against that. I'm sure that what was written was all correct. I'm only talking about your lack of phonetic training. You don't have phonetic training. You pronounce the M. Imperium. You pronounce the M. The M is a nasal sound. Anyone knows that who studies Latin restored pronunciation. You just pronounce Latin like using Italian phonetics. Occasionally, you can tell that probably your mother at this point. And as you're noticing, I'm not disrespecting your mother, like you disrespected mine. And
it was a your mama joke. Get over yourself, man. Let's go to, I don't really care. I want to hear, because I do remember that Dave does give a pronunciation. There you go.
Since I speak Italian and the phonetics are very similar.
No, they're not. No, they're not. As an Italian native, I had to be trained. And you ever will. No, it's not.
Let's hear it.
Italian and the most conservative linguistic. I know you're native. And the meaning of Italian, actually. You're too proud, and that's a big man. He is too. You know, I don't need to touch. You didn't read about my to demonstrate, and that's not.
Si invenies amicum verum, vita tua erit.
Okay, I don't know anything about it, but did he say that you don't pronounce the M's in Latin? The teacher just did, and he didn't even flinch. Listen, I don't know anything about Latin. I'm just curious, like, let's hear it together and see, like, if Dave actually does a good job following after his mom.
Amicum verum, vita tua erit beata.
Let me hear it again.
Doing that.
Si invenies amicum verum, vita
See, when she said that, she's definitely better than you. I can what that there's no like she could wipe the floor with you when it comes to pronunciation. I do want to say though, the first M was a bit still too pronounced. The second M was better. It sounded more nasalized. The V's are excellent.
Speak Italian, and the phonetics are very similar. Here's a sample of my mother doing that.
si invuole
And I'm sure I have no reason to not believe that. But you did a much worse job because, of course, of language. So
amico
her S is cute
Okay.
and it's plain, but you think
Si invenies amicum verum.
See, says verum. That's it, say, and he thinks he's winning. He thinks he's proving me wrong. Guys, please, can Luca Ranieri review this? Can anyone who understands Latin show the monumental difference?
I will say there have been some people who have talked about Metatron's linguistics content also being pretty off in par with some of his historical content. I am not qualified on either to really weigh on it, but this is largely irrelevant, personally.
In incompetent man.
Si in verum.
Ooh.
Italian and classical languages for 50 fucking years. So I'm sorry, any example of you
keep
presuming that I
trying.
am mispronouncing something
Okay.
is just you not knowing how to speak Latin, since
Okay, so guys, prove me. Who's right, me or him?
Why would you ask your own audience that is predisposed to agreeing with you and it likely doesn't know anything about Latin any more than anyone else, who they think, this is so weird, appealing to your own audience for who's correct on a pronunciation of a language that pretty much nobody in your audience speaks? Are you kidding me?
Is it amicum? Is that the correct way? No, it's dedicated. At the end of this video, channel when
Hold
I
up.
justify every single choice. At the end of this video, just to slapping once more, I will put
Okay, hold up. I don't know if he's finishing with the end of the video because I do know that Dave says something in Italian towards the end. Did he just skip completely everything in between to just go get hung up on the language again?
5.
look at these titles and thumbnails. Cookie cutter own the...
It's at the end of the video, don't forget.
Look at these titles and thumbnails.
Okay, no.
Cookie cutter own the libs content. If you don't like being called out for making this piece of shit content, then stop making it, you f***ing tool. I'm a science communicator. It's called explaining science. Good God, you are so bad at this.
Clearly, it's obvious, it's a pattern now. We can just use basic pattern recognition. If this is what he does with me, then clearly that's what it does in a lot of other cases because he gets away with it and it's rewarded with money. Therefore, it is quite obvious that a lot
This is again just a form of projection because if you look at the way Metatron is reacting to this video now, you can infer that he's doing the same with all of his critics the exact same way, which he is. This is again just projection.
of the stuff he presents is false and fake. And a lot of the attacks he does are incorrect and based on false assumptions, miscommunications, misrepresentations, strawman attacks, red herring, poisoning the well. He does the whole spiel. He did it with me. There is a very high likelihood that
The whole video was you whining about how mean I am. So I was focusing on you whining about how mean I am, since that was the topic of my video, whiny trolls who just whine about how mean I am.
check this out. This is poetic, guys. Check this out. It's this. How about we write racist and look through his entire channel? There we go. 22 videos. In 22 videos.
Okay, moron,
Right.
pick one instance and disprove my accusation of racism.
Me. Done. Picked. I won.
Okay, well, once again, this is extremely lazy because you are a racist, Metatron. There are instances, I've covered them on my channel, of you being a racist. Your entire argument relies on pretending like I don't exist. The exact same way you just skipped my whole section in there, you're just skipping the whole part where you are, in fact, racist. And if you want to be pedantic about it, because I know you like to be very pedantic, Metatron, he's saying pick one of these. Pick one of these videos. He calls you racist in the video he's talking about right now. I don't know if he's doing it in the video Toxic Jerkface or whatever, but pick any of these videos. That's the challenge. You're like, well, me. No, pick one of these. That's the challenge.
You said I'm racist. I'm not. I never said anything racist. Find one clip, I'm going to flip it. Find one clip where I said something racist. Because saying the Anglo-Saxons were in black is not racist.
Okay. Well, let's close any doubts on this, alright? Let me see if I can find it. Gonna have to scroll it back a little now. Hold up. We're almost there. All right. This is, like I said, I had to go back a while. Sorry, guys. I think by the picture you guys know what this is. But again, in this train, when she was stabbed, he accused all the bystanders of being anti-white scum. All of them just because they're black. That's it. That's an example right there. You can look into it further. Even he came and got mad at me for saying that I lied about him. Is he here? No, I think it was in the post after that, but if I go back, it's going to go all the way. Yeah, I make a lot of posts. Feel free to check out my posts, guys. I post more often in the community tab. Oh, and here too, you know, Ellen of Detroit. Just because Lupita Nyong'o is black, even though she has nothing to do with Detroit, it's just that conservatives, they like to make allusions to Detroit because it's the one town where all the black people do a lot of crimes. So there's this right here. Let me go back here. Oh yeah, he was talking about how he was equally rude to the people who mocked Rob Reiner's death versus the people who mocked Charlie Kirk. You could pause it in the stream if you want, but this is all the unhinged stuff he said in response to Charlie Kirk, and this is what he said about Rob Reiner. You know, he says it's horrific, but he says, if you can't offer condolences and you can't show decency, sit this one out, get offline for a few days. Just, guys, please just log off and come back when you're ready to behave. Whereas he's going on a full crusade for people who made jokes about Charlie Kirk because how dare they, you know? These guys, they should just, you know, log off for a few days. Hold up, I just want to show, like, when he responded. Yeah, okay, here we go. So after he made that racist post on the woman in the train that got slaughtered, I mean, he made a follow-up to double down where basically he just did a Mont and Bailey and said, well, I didn't say all the people on the bus were on the train were racist. I just meant to say that anti-white racism is real. Not the same argument, and he was being Weasley about it. But if we go in the comments, I think he's right here. Yeah. You know, he said, like, it's a lie. I didn't say everyone on the bus, you know, so on the train. So, you know, like, you representing what I said as racist is a lie. And I literally just quoted what he said. She died because she was surrounded by anti-white scum. The one behind her killed her. The rest didn't care to help her because they all hated her because she was white. This is him making a general statement about all the black people in that train and making a racist one at that, because he's basically saying, well, all the people failed to react immediately, therefore they might as well all be in on it. They all hated her. She's like, oh, this white woman just got stabbed? Okay, let her die. Let her die. We hate her because we're anti-white racists. That's what he's saying right here. And look at his response. Deus Volt. That's what he used to do. Like, instead of arguing with people, when I quoted him, his tweet back to him, he copped out. What is that if not cowardice? Not being able to actually address fundamentally his own arguments. You think his mom would be proud of this? This is what I'm talking about. So, I mean, I took the challenge, Metatron. You want to debate me on whether these things are racist? I will debate you. Just, you know, debate me, coward.
Find something, and if you think that's racist, then every other accusation of racism I'm going to question at that point. But that's enough.
Okay, feel free to question them. He is challenging you to find an instance where him calling someone racist is not a justified use of the word. And you're like, well, I don't think I would really believe it. It's a challenge. Take the challenge.
I found it. What you going to do about it? Me.
About me calling out racism. Why would that be? Oh, right, because you're fucking racist. Me calling...
He called me racist. And look at the lack of logics. And I'm the one slandering.
You reflexively racism, are racist, and continuing to do the exact thing I am making fun of you for. You are whining about me calling out racism. People are racist. I say they are racist, and instead of condemning the racism, you whine about me calling out racism. Why would that be? Oh, right, because you're fucking racist.
You see? No, you just lost all your credibility.
Literally doing the thing that Dave said he's doing. You're minimizing the accusations of racism. You say, oh, you're calling me a racist? You're just minimizing it. There is no possible way you could be a racist. You know, so if you call someone a racist, if you call Metatron a racist, you fail automatically because it is scientifically impossible for him to be racist. You see, like, so it's an instant checkmate. Checkmate!
So, I have a problem with people calling everyone racist. And so when I see people spamming the word racist, I question it these days, particularly if they come from left-wing.
Why don't you actually look into why the word is being used? You say that in your case it's been used because you said that Cleopatra wasn't black or that the Anglo-Saxons weren't black. But again, you're always going to have some French people who are going to say a bunch of nonsense to you. This is Professor Dave. He's got a big YouTube channel. And he's using the word, and he's challenging you to look into his usage of the word and whether it applies or not. Just because you have experience with people using the word frivolously doesn't mean that's what he does. So he's challenging you, he's inviting you to look at his use of the word critically, and that's where you refuse to do it because it destroys your argument if you do. The people he addresses as racist, they are racist. When he calls you racist, it's because you are racist, and we just showed it. So there you go.
Circles. Let's be honest about this. And then you say, but why would you have a problem with that? Oh, because you're racist. You just proved my point. Like, this guy is so stupid and illiterate at this point. He doesn't even recognize he's like owning himself. I'm not even owning him. I can't even say I tough to call racist to then justify your attack.
You reflexively complain about accusations of racism because you've been called out for being racist.
No, I've been called racist. That's very different from being called out for being racist.
I called you out.
Prove it. Prove it.
Well, I did. I did, actually. You want to debate me, Metatron, or are you a coward and you're going to keep hiding?
How am I racist?
Clouds.
I just showed it. Debate me, Metatron. Are you a coward?
And pumping out culture war slop. There's no point in digging any further.
You are in the culture war. You just call it science. It's a dress-up.
This video doesn't deserve to be any longer than this, but if we did, we would find him crying about replacement theory, defending ICE, whining about the liberal media, all the horrible...
Prove it. Prove all of this.
It's all on your Twitter. Just because he doesn't bother showing it doesn't mean it's like, oh, prove it. Where? This is like a Tim Pool tactic. Tim Pool, like when people go on his show and call out some of the stuff he does, is instant defense is to say, well, where did I say that? And it's like, okay, well, do you happen to have the one clip of him saying that from a stream from a month ago that's like 4 hours long? You know? Like, there's a reason Metatron skips my part entirely, because my part actually shows some receipts. And he doesn't want to go over that. When people do have the receipts, he backs out. When people do have the receipts, he throws a tantrum. And if they don't have it, then that's when he pretends like he's above all of it.
Racism against white people.
Oh yeah, that one is true, absolutely.
His ideology is a fucking porta potty. And when anyone points out his toxicity, his laziness, his dishonesty...
How is it toxic to complain about people being racist towards white and then pretend that that's not even a thing? They're like, no, it's not possible to be racist towards white, so they can say the most despicable and violent things about white people. How is that being toxic?
Or his irrelevance, through very deserved mockery, he plays the victim, just like every single worthless troll I exposed in that video he didn't watch. The ones who think that being angry about being shown for precisely what they are is somehow a valid rebuttal. That's why he's doubling down here, whining about how mean I am, all while refusing to acknowledge the toxicity of those who I expose. It's just more gaslighting, more
Not a video about those you expose, it's a video about you.
Yeah, nice dodge. Nice dodge. Again, he makes the argument, and your arguments, Metatron, rely on completely dodging everything he's saying. We're towards the end of this video. He barely addressed any of the times that Dave did actually rebuke some of the things he said. He never addressed any of them. He spent the first 10-20 minutes hammering on the point on Joe Rogan, then purposefully skipped the part that shows other people criticizing him, then skipped a huge chunk of the video where it's actually Dave responding to him, and then he pretends like it's checkmate. When did Dave say you can't be racist towards white people? Exactly. He didn't actually say that. The issue is that all the people who complain about anti-white racism, it always ends up... Now would I say that? It's always completely ridiculous. The issue isn't that you can't be racist towards white people, it's that the racism that goes towards white people is, in a sense, like, in a consequential sense, practically completely irrelevant. And I do mean that, like, show me, I'll put the same challenge to Metatron, like, show me an instance of, like, white people, like, actually being oppressed because they were white. Like, in a significant sense. Because I don't actually see that happening at all. You don't have white people getting arrested by cops and having their knees pressed on their necks for 10 minutes. But you do have data of it happening to black people. You do have data of black people receiving longer prison sentences, of being over-policed. That happens. So, like, if you have someone who uses the N-word and someone who uses the C-word for, you know, for white people, yeah, it's both racist, you could say. Absolutely. But the experience of racism varies so much from one group to another. Like, it's completely disproportionate. The one instance where white racism, like, really becomes like a thing, and it always ends up going in that direction, and it's the fear of white people being replaced, of their culture being in danger, from immigrants, from brown people, from interracial breeding. You know, that's where it goes. That's where Nick Fuentes goes. When Nick Fuentes fights for, like, anti-white racism, he just wants a white ethno-state. That's where it goes. That's where anti-white racism is never taken really seriously, because at best, in its most truest form, you will have some people who are, like, arbitrarily racist interpersonally to white people, but there's no structural threat to white people. Unless you make immigrants out to be the threat. This is why, like, it's the same thing with, like, the sentence, it's okay to be white or it's okay to be Anglo-Saxon. The problem with those sentences is the implication. Saying it's okay to be Anglo-Saxon implies by its very nature that some people are saying it's not okay. And so if it's not okay for some people, then what are those people actually saying? What are those people doing behind the shadows to, you know, harm white people? None of it is substantive. This always falls into far-right moral panic and conspiracy theories. Metatron, as a white person, might have seen instances online of, like, what looks like anti-white racism, but I promise you, he leaves his front door, he leaves his house, he doesn't deal with anti-white racism. There is nothing, at best, what might actually happen to him is eyes showing up and not liking his accent. That might actually happen to him, but you know what? He's white, so he's probably not going to have the same risk as someone who's Latino. You know, you could have a person that's Latino, born in the US, so actually more of a US citizen than Metatron is, and he will still be more likely to be targeted by ICE than he is. And so when it comes to racism that people receive, that should by itself speak volume to the nonsense of complaining about white racism, because it's not a real substantive thing. That's it. Anyway, we're almost done.
Pearl clutching, more virtue signaling, more slander,
says the virtue signaler. Projection.
more projection, further embodying everything I warned my viewers about. It's actually breathtaking to see someone this oblivious, this eager to dig his own grave, like he's in a race to become completely irrelevant. Isn't it sad? I never would have even heard of you, Metatron. You were not in my sights at all. But just like so many delusional egomaniacs before you, your hubris is your downfall. Norbert had the sense to delete his videos, and his reward is
I'm not deleting anything. Because I clearly won. You lost. And that's why you're so mad. If you had won, you would be happy. You would be like, look at this guy. You're not. You're so mad. You're crying. You're shaking. You're like, you can't even breathe. So, and he wants me to delete the video. I'm not deleting anything. Because, again, it's a victory. Why would I delete it? Just like today.
that episode being swiftly forgotten. But you're just begging to join my collection of punching bags. Judging from the comments by people who used to subscribe to you, you'd be a welcome addition.
It's the same. I have all of those about you. So what?
Indeed. And if you're petty enough to try and nitpick my academic content that you're not qualified to comment on,
I will. We are a lot more qualified than you. With the team?
Yes, that's why you had such a thorough peer review academic breakdown of the things that Freda said, and not actually like a complete tantrum that made you look like a bigger fool than ever before.
We don't even see you.
Exactly what you'll get. So that's it for Metatron, the whiny little anti-woke baby. Honestly, I'm at a bit of a loss for how to sign this one off. Let's see. How did he finish his video?
Because you have no decency, no moral, no honor, no truth, no respect for the truth. And you're just a bully based with the ego the size of a mountain. Yep. Oh, and let me add in Sicilian. Te si minchia.
No honor, no respect for the truth. Pretty
Yes.
big words for such a pointless loser troll. But since none of this seems to be
Man, he's like 12, literally. It's like, your nose is big, you stupid.
getting through to you, let's put it into terms that even you can understand.
Right.
Va bene, Metatron, sei proprio un bischero, vai a cagare.
Is the family from Tuscany? Well, Bischero. Well, I think, but Bischero is funny, actually. I was expecting very different, actually. Bischero. The family must be from Tuscany.
To everyone else, arrivederci. I'll see you next.
I'm not sure about this Italian, though. It sounds a little exaggerated. Is he actually?
All I can say about the language, I will speak for myself here, and I've said it in a comment before. There is one thing I heard Metatron speak French. He claims he can speak French, and his French is absolutely horrible. So, could be that his Italian is a little flawed, could be that his Latin is a little flawed, but, you know, Metatron's got some flaws of his own. His French, if it wasn't for the text he was reading on the screen, I would have never guessed what he was saying, because his French was that bad. But anyway, so we're 6 minutes before the end. Let's quickly wrap it up, but, yeah.
Actually native? Because it doesn't sound native. How? I'm not questioning. I'm sure he speaks it, but is he native? I wonder if he's native. I'm gonna have to look into that.
So at the very least, he can't actually tell whether he's a native Italian, so the accent must be pretty decent. If the accent was like so bad that like you can clearly say that English is his first language, then, you know, I'm Italian, Dave's Italian is flawed, but he understands the words. Okay, well, there you go.
Next time.
What a clown show. Yeah, he didn't show it. Guys, he did not show the part where I proved him wrong. So
You didn't show like almost like 3/4, at least 2/3 of the video you completely skipped over. So you have no business making fun of the Joe Rogan bit anymore. You are more guilty than him of the thing you accuse him of doing. Your accusation is valid, but you made the same thing. You did the same thing considerably worse.
yes, Dave, you're a coward. You're a coward unless you show that. You have to respond to what I challenged you.
Metatron, if I challenge you to a debate, will you accept it? Because I've invited you to talk multiple times. So I guess you're a coward.
My challenge was, you're toxic, and you say, no, I'm not toxic, while being toxic because,
His argument... Okay, well...
whatever, you responded to that. You're wrong, but fine. At least you responded. You did not respond to the one, though, where I said, I challenge you, I proved you wrong. Here, I showed the clip. You didn't respond. Why? Are you scared? Are you afraid? I'll be waiting.
Oh boy.
Salvete, nobiles mei, ex optati revenitis ad canale meum, hic Metatron vos allucor.
Okay, it's probably some Latin. I guess he's flexing his language. Yeah, he is. Okay, so that was about it. I've got like 50 people in here, so before all of you tune out, do me a favor. I announced it recently, but I have a channel for my Game of Thrones fan film called A Dance of Steel. I will actually paste it in the chat right now. This is a huge Game of Thrones film I made. No AI. As you can see, it's pretty gross. But I worked very hard on that movie. And I've had a really hard time, a lot of bad luck trying to promote it online. So since I have a lot of people right now, if you're into Game of Thrones, feel free to go on this channel right now and check it out. I keep my self promotion for the end, but that's about it. So when it comes to Metatron, what do we think? Well, I predicted towards the beginning of the video that this would be largely performative. Again, this is the post-truth era. As long as you can convince your own audience that you're correct, you don't actually need to address the substance of the arguments. The only way that Metatron would be actually held accountable is if he had to talk to someone directly in a live conversation. If Dave doesn't want to do it, considering he's talked to a bunch of other people, I wouldn't blame him to the extent that it doesn't seem like Metatron is a good faith commenter at all. If there was a time that Metatron could be, but really isn't anymore, everything that's happened here just confirms that, he just sticks to the same point, he skipped half the video, made points on Freda that were already addressed in Freda's subsequent response. Like, my husband loves Game of Thrones, I'll let him know about it. Well, thank you very much. Anyone who watches the movie, please comment under it your thoughts. Give it some momentum in the algorithm. Thank you. So that's really about it. And this is why, like I said, that like my last essay that I made on Metatron a few months ago, like I said, is likely going to be my last, is because, like, what is there to address? Like, all of the things Metatron is talking about is like he never heard a single thing that Dave said. And he's just holding, like, this different standard for toxicity, which for Metatron, again, is just no decency. And like Dave said in his video, if someone punches him in the face, and then he punches them back, and the other person uses that pretext to say they're violent, that's dumb. And that just because it's just self-defense. If someone insults you and then you insult them back, you're playing by the rules set by the other person, and that's what Dave does on his channel. That's what he does. The challenge from Dave in his first video on whether it's like he's a toxic jerkface or whatever is he challenges everybody to come up with a single instance of him actually being rude to someone who was being polite, or someone who like asked something with genuine curiosity or asked for a clarification or whatever, and he says no one has ever done it. Metatron never did. This is part of what Metatron actually skipped on purpose in this video, because when Metatron did show his receipts, the receipts was a clip of Dave dealing with some hecklers in an audience, and even that was a compilation that cut out all of the surrounding context, something that Dave points out. That's the argument Dave makes, and Metatron right here completely skipped it, the same way that he accuses Dave of skipping the part on Joe Rogan. But again, it doesn't matter, because for Metatron, as long as his audience believes him, that's all it is. So this is why, like, at this point, like, there was a time where I would have been more like not an expert and trying and be like kinder and leave the door open to the idea that, maybe Metatron actually cares enough and he just needs to be reached out at a certain way, but that time is long gone. At this point, you just gotta ridicule him. And the only thing I'll say, and I've said it again to Metatron, and I'll just wrap up with this, if you actually genuinely believe that you are correct on the things you say, and you reject the idea that you're dishonest, you reject the idea that you're a grifter or a liar or that you're even a coward, you can talk to me. I don't know if Dave would accept talking to you, but I would talk to you in private or in public. You said Flint didn't want to deal with your super chats. I will deal with your super chats. I don't have a problem. And if the idea is you don't want me, if you tell me you don't want me to shout out my channel, you don't even want to show my face because you're afraid of sending people towards my channel, fine, okay. Like, what are you so afraid of? I'm so mean to you? Who cares? If we have a direct conversation, I promise to be civil. I will not insult you throughout the conversation. You will get passionate. We will probably have a shouting match, but I will stay respectful. But as far as I'm concerned, you're a coward if you don't. And I think it's becoming apparent to everyone outside of your audience, and that's why I called your audience a cult. Because your audience only listens to you, they only hear your version, and they're not going to look at Dave's video to see all the parts you skipped. They're not going to look at my videos, especially when you skip them. You didn't have the gall to actually show the part where I talk about you. You know, the part where you claimed that, you know, your channel is still doing well because you didn't lose any subscribers from the people criticizing you, and now it turns out that your channel has been stagnating for months. But by all means, back out of it because I said something about your mom. You know, I'm sure you'll do that. But anyway, that's about it, everybody. Like I said, I'm not gonna make another essay on Metatron, but in terms of like actually reacting to the occasional beef like this, like I'm down. If they happen, I might still make some more reacts like this. But I don't know that it's actually that there's actually a lot more to do with that. And I'm really sorry about my voice. What happens is after like 3 hours, like my voice completely wears out and my nose gets stuffy. I still don't understand why. I need to build up my vocal endurance. Complete dog water from Tron, no debunks or even engaging with the actual points. No, exactly. And again, he can make that same criticism of Dave, knowing his audience won't fact check him. So he can basically say anything, knowing you will never be fact checked by the people who support him. And that's all that matters. Anyway, yeah, like I said, Dents of Steel, go check it out. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already. There's also a main gaming channel called Terry Duke. Right here, gaming channel. Not really doing much on it right now, but you know, it is what it is. And that's about it, really. I see there's still like a bunch of people in here. You guys want to do a quick Q&A or something? I don't know. I really didn't have much more planned other than the reaction, and it's already like 3 hours long, which is usually the length of my live streams, and I have to get ready for work in about an hour. What I would say is if you guys want a call to action at all besides watching Dance of Steel, you can go in Metatron's channel, as I'm sure a lot of Dave's audience will go, and, you know, call him a coward. Let him know I called him a coward and that I told him his mother would be disappointed in him and that we can debate. That's about it. Yeah, well, yeah, we're gonna cut it here. Thank you so much, everybody. I hope you have a great weekend, and I'll see you next time.